of the ring.
Oh, I saw that
Did you?
one. Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah, he was like a male stripper when he was like 18 years old or something, and
Dude, his story is insane. Okay, like Buff Bagwell, he's one of those guys that he cannot complain about his life because he made some decisions that definitely put him in that spot.
yeah, his family came from money. They owned a plywood mill or something, and like so
Yeah.
they had money just without him wrestling, and then somehow they lost it all. How did they lose their? Did they lose the mill or something?
I think they were losing business and they had to shut down, and dad took whatever he had set aside for the kids, and like he had told them, because I guess they were all at a certain age, he was like, here's money for this to go to school, whatever you guys want to do, take it now because it won't be there probably later, kind of one of those situations. So he's
Yeah.
like, while we can do it, go ahead and I'll pay for it while I can. And they took it and he went into massage therapy. I think he went
Okay.
to be, and I guess apparently he was too good looking to be a massage therapist, because like when he showed up to like, hook up people with massages, they were like, yeah, you're not coming in.
You're too
It's kind of like
attractive.
that. Yeah, it was kind of like that. So I guess people were intimidated by it, and somewhere in there he ended up connecting with Missy Hyatt.
Yeah. At his apartment complex, they lived in the same
Yeah.
apartment complex.
Yeah. So I mean, I like Buff. I've never had an issue with Buff. I always thought Buff was Buff was the character, but man, that Dark Side of Wrestling, when they did that story, I was like, oh my gosh! Like the things Judy Bagwell did for him.
What did she do for him?
I don't even want to say, man, because it was pretty. I'll put it like this: she helped manicure him.
Okay, got you,
Okay, in an area that a mother should never do.
got you.
Yeah. And he talks about that. And I'm like, what? Are, are you serious?
He didn't feel weird about that at all.
No, he was just like, yeah, my mom went in and she shaved me up. And I was just like, are you serious? Like, what is wrong with you? And he's got all like these failed marriages and girlfriends. And I'm like, well, no, duh, man. It the way you ran your life, like no wonder, it
Yeah,
wasn't like you were like this upstanding guy that like things just happened, other people did things that were out of your control. It's like, no, you were in control of pretty much all those situations, and you kind of just dove yourself down to that low part. And you know
he
yeah,
did.
it's
He did. After wrestling, after he like had his tryout with WWE, and I think he only had like one match, right? And then he
yeah,
was like cut. Um,
yeah,
they said it was like one of the worst matches ever for a tryout too. Guess it was real bad, but he became a gigolo.
yes.
Um, so he's always kind of like floated around the sex industry or whatever, I guess.
He did a TV show as well, some sort of TV show where he got into that, and it went kind of weird. So he's just, and if you, okay, so the WWF tryout. All right, let's touch on that real quick. Okay, he was wrestling Booker T.
Hmm.
Okay, Booker T got one of the biggest pushes out of the WCW guys, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so how did Booker T make it past tryouts? And he and Booker have wrestled each other for a million years, and all of a sudden it didn't go well.
probably something Buff did behind the scenes. I'm sure, right?
Him and what's his name? The Hurricane Kid. What's his name?
Helms,
Yes,
Shane Helms.
Shane Helms. There was a run-in with those guys. They had a dispute in the back that didn't go well. And
Hmm.
it was said that because of that situation, that's why Buff didn't get picked up, was
Okay.
because of the dispute between those two guys. And I think that also Buff's attitude, because they wanted him, right?
Yeah.
So he thought automatically they want me, so I got a spot, you know.
Yeah.
He thought about it like that. He didn't think about it, yeah, they want you, but you still got to prove yourself. So I think the attitude of that plus that fight is what ended Buff's career, because everybody had pointed towards those situations. You know, it wasn't like they were like, oh, the match, you know, it was like, no, it was more from the background, you know, because of how he handled himself.
Yeah, he
So,
had a bunch of other stuff going on. Buff Bagwell just recently had his leg amputated or his foot. Did you
oh
see?
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Maven took him.
yeah,
Maven was there,
yeah.
and
I hope he. I mean, it looks like he's up and mobile now. He's got a prosthetic, and he can like move around and stuff. So I mean, that's good as long as he's not experiencing like a ton of pain.
yeah, Katie Johnson. She's saying hi, hi. How are you?
Dang, I can't see any chat. That's weird.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at him like, hey, how's he going?
Where's the chat?
Nice
I
to have
wonder how
you,
I did.
Katie.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's not showing up in your end.
Um, no, should
That's
be.
weird. Yeah, I can see it. I wonder why you don't see it.
That's interesting. No, I don't see anything.
You need to go out and come back in, and then
How do I do that? Do I? How do you do that?
I hit the X button and the link you sent me.
Okay,
So I
let
go
me
back to the text link, and then I just hit that, and then it brings me back.
do. I'll try it.
Okay.
Oh no, that what that'll do? That'll end the stream.
Oh, from your end because you
Yeah,
started it,
yeah,
right?
can't
Okay.
do that. Top chat. No, live chat. I don't know, man. I can't see any. I guess I'll just. You're in charge of reading.
Ah, dang it. Okay, no
I can't see
problem.
anything. I honestly can't
I
see
got you.
anything.
I'm just teasing you, buddy. I got you covered. I'll do my best, you know, to lock it down for you.
That's so funny.
It can be
Um,
weird.
weird, dude. I don't see.
Yeah, it's kind of a bizarre thing. I do have a random crazy story to tell you.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right. So here we go, everybody. I don't know what it is, but the past month or two, I have had people come up to me and tell me that they seriously thought I was LL Cool J. And it happened last night.
Really?
I was at the grocery store. My friend Don works there's a King Supers grocery store. So I go there, and I went to pick up a few things. And I was there, and this lady I had never met came over. I mean, she came all the way, took a big trip all the way over to get to me. And she's like, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes." She said, "I thought you were LL Cool J for a second." She's like,
What?
and I was looking like, why is LL Cool J in King Supers in Colorado? And I was like, you know what's funny? I've been hearing that the past month or two. Even my girlfriend said, "You know what? You remind me of Cool J." Shannon said it, and so I had to text her and go, "There must be something to this because this is now the next person that's come up to tell me that I look like LL Cool J."
Could look like
And
worse people, man. That's pretty cool.
I'll take it. I'll
Yeah,
take it, man. You
no
know,
doubt.
the dude with the ladies, man. So I said, "Hey, if they think that there was worse people I could definitely get, they could have said I look like Buddy Hackett, you know, or something like that, you know, or you know, it could have been a lot worse. So I'll take it, you know. So yeah, that's
Score
the
one.
craziest thing.
Score one for Drew, man. Did you see that Hayden Panettiere passed away yesterday?
Yes, I did see that she passed away.
That's kind of like that's really sad. She was only 36 years old, man.
Well, the thing about it too, buddy, was what's her name that played Harriet the Spy?
Michelle Trachtenberg.
They did stuff together, right? And she passed away young from some diabetic issue, I guess she had.
Yeah, no, I knew. Yeah, I knew that. Yes, I saw that. You know what's weird about that is she was hosting this like Michelle Trachtenberg was hosting this like true crime show And first of all, for someone of her stature to be doing that, because she was in movies and like TV shows and stuff, like I was kind of like, this is a really weird host to be doing this. Like, normally it's people you don't even know who they are. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know. And then I just kind of noticed, I was like, she looks really, really thin. Like her eyes looked like sick or tired or whatever. And then a few years later, she died. So
Yeah, I didn't know she died, and then all of a sudden I heard I was like, what? She did? I was like, whatever happened to that girl? Because remember she was in Pete and Pete.
she was in Pete. She was known as F. Mecklenburg,
Yeah,
and her dad was Iggy Pop on
yeah. And
Pete and
I was
Pete.
like, I didn't know she died. And then I didn't know that they had worked together. I'm like, oh man, this is eerie, man, to die because she died like at what in her 20s, right?
No, I think she was in her 30s, but she was still young, man. Like, but Hayden Panettiere, like, she she had a really weird history. She was like a major alcoholic. She was like self-admitted, like into substance abuse, and like she had a lot of like really weird
Oh,
relationships. I just Googled it again today, and I guess she died of an overdose. That's what they think.
okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So
So she just didn't die young. She had some skeletons in that closet that were
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
helping her health.
yeah.
Um, so
Hi,
that was
Nicole.
that was crazy. Hey Nicole and CP135. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm a huge Starship Trooper fan. I've met most of the cast. I didn't meet Denise Richards. I didn't meet Patrick Muldoon, who passed away, unfortunately, rest in peace, or Neil Patrick Harris, but everybody else I've met. And they were all really, really cool. Really, really cool.
I've heard like a lot of really sketchy things about Neil Patrick Harris. Like he did
Yeah.
some, like I heard he's not like he when Amy Winehouse like passed away, like didn't he have a Halloween party like where someone dressed up as Amy Winehouse deceased, or they had a cake that was an Amy
What?
Winehouse, or like an Amy Winehouse deceased cake or something like that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know about that. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That
Yeah.
is crazy. That's
Well,
super disrespectful too. That's no matter how someone goes out, man, like
uh-huh.
I don't think it's a good look to like make
No.
some that's crazy, dude. Let's just say that's not going to go over well. I don't think. That just
You
looks really bad.
know, you do to others the way that you like to do to them. And, if you do that towards people, you may not see it today. Tomorrow, it might be funny for 10 years, but somewhere in your life, it will catch up with you, you
Definitely,
know? And
definitely
you'll
karma.
notice, you'll be like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Like now I'm sitting here with this. And it's like, yeah, well, you made some dicey decisions. That's so. Neil Patrick Harris, I don't even think he showed up to a Comic Con or anything like that I've heard of him. So you probably
He
would
was
never.
How I Met Your Mother. Like he
Yeah.
was like one of the biggest TV stars in the world there for like 10 years. So he probably didn't do any of that kind of stuff. To be honest with you.
I
Um.
honestly, I didn't. He in Starship Troopers, he wasn't a big deal to me. It was kind of like, I when I think of Starship Troopers, I think of Johnny Rico. I
Yeah.
think of Ace. I think of Sugar Watkins. I think of Lieutenant Radcheck. I think, of course, Dizzy Flores.
Yeah.
That's kind of the core group. Even Denise Richards. I don't think of her because, well, the truth was, if you're a Starship Trooper fan, you probably hated her character like I did. Like everybody talks about that. Like Carmen was not likable in that movie.
He should have ended up with Dizzy, but she ended up sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
Uh. Yeah, that movie's crazy. I hadn't seen Dizzy in anything really except for like Oxygen movies or like Lifetime movies. I haven't seen her in a lot lately.
Remember, she did Johnny Mnemonic. She did Dragonheart.
Okay.
She was in Burn Notice. She was Barbara Gordon in the Birds of Prey series that they only did maybe one season for.
That was
Um,
recently. That was like
oh, that
three,
was
four
back
years
in
ago.
that no, that was back before they had the whole WB DC thing. It was kind of like before Smallville around that time.
Oh, really? So like 2003,
Yeah.
2002?
Yeah, it was a
Holy moly.
long time ago.
Because
But she looks just like Barbara Gordon.
they remade Birds of Prey though. Didn't they make a movie
Right.
about that? Yeah.
They did do that. Yeah.
Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or something like that.
Yeah, she looks just like Barbara Gordon. You know, if you were to pick somebody to be Barbara Gordon to be in a movie, like she's it, you know. And then when you see the pictures of her, especially, you know, when she got paralyzed and became Oracle, she's in the wheelchair and everything with the glasses, and you're like, she looks just like Barbara Gordon. But Dina Meyer, she's been around for a while. You know, she's done all kind of bit parts, and you know, she's done different TV shows and stuff like that. But yeah, currently I haven't seen her in anything that I could think of right now.
Me neither.
Um,
She's like in her mid 50s. It's got to be. She's
no, she's in
definitely.
she's approaching she's approaching that 60 range now.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
But
You're right.
she looks 23. When I met her, she did not age at all. Her hair, everything looks exactly the same. Even my son was standing there, who's like, you know, he was 8 at the time. He was like, she looks exactly the same. And he was so tripped out, and he was just like, you look great. And she was like, oh, thank you. So she gave him like 5-6 hugs, and he went in for more 5-6 hugs, of course. He thought she was great. He's like, you're beautiful. So
Good for him.
he was into Dina Meyer totally. You know, that's the thing. I'm trying to think for that whole Starship Trooper cast, probably the person that does the most would either be Clancy Brown, who that's the one person I have not met that I want to meet. And he does conventions. He's just hard to catch.
He's been in a ton of movies.
Oh,
Ton
yeah.
of movies.
Clancy Brown is always going.
He does.
Michael Ironside.
But Clancy Brown does Mr. Krabs on
Yes, he does.
SpongeBob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he does. So you got him. You got Michael Ironside, who's always doing stuff. You also have Seth Gilliam, who's super active. You know, he played the priest in Walking Dead. You know, he's always doing stuff, and he was really cool to meet. He was really, really a humble, nice guy. I appreciated him a lot. And let me see who else. Jake Busey, when I talked to him, he said that, you know, he still does stuff, but he's also taking care of his dad, Gary Busey.
Yeah,
So
Gary Busey was like one of my favorite characters in Point Break. He was great in the movie Surviving the Game with Ice-T. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that movie after we talk about this for a little bit. I definitely want to talk about that movie
Yeah,
with you.
I watched it about a month ago. I introduced it to a friend of mine that had never seen it.
I like that movie a lot. But yeah, Gary Busey is like just a great character actor. He's always gives a good performance. I think he was nominated for Academy Award for Buddy Holly, right? The Buddy Holly story.
Yes, he was.
And then he had that accident. I think it was a motorcycle accident or something where he basically like smashed his head off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was still acting and stuff after that. He's progressively got a little weirder and a little weirder as he's gotten older. Didn't he get in trouble for like groping someone at a Comic-Con?
I don't know if he did that, but I hope not.
I think he did. I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw that. And
Jake's
I think
keeping an eye on him pretty much.
well, yeah, no, and I was gonna say Jake had a pretty decent career there in the mid 2000s where he was like in Tomcats and then he was like in Starship Troopers. He was kind of like I don't know. He was good. He definitely wasn't as close to his father in like acting ability and stuff, but he definitely had a character that he could play stuff in. That's for sure.
Remember he was in The Frighteners? He was the villain in The Frighteners.
It's been so long since I've seen the Frighteners came out in like 96. Is that what year it came out?
Yeah, him and Michael J.
Was that Michael J. Fox's last
he
like
was the main character? It was. I think that was one of his last movies. Yeah,
live action because he did Stuart Little, but as far as like being on the screen, I think that was about it.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, that was probably his last one.
Yeah, and he was like winning Emmys for Spin City, and then he had to leave the show because he couldn't physically do it anymore.
That's the thing about it, is he did it as long as he could do it, because he
Hmm.
was experiencing symptoms during Back to the Future 2, but really Back to the Future 3 was where it started to show. Because you remember right before they hang him,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's falling a bunch of times, like when he's running.
yeah.
That was the Parkinson's acting up. He talked about that. He said that was my Parkinson's acting up. They just thought the falling looked good, so they kept it. But I was falling a lot because my Parkinson's was acting up.
That's really
Like it was
weird.
earlier. Yeah.
I know that he said he noticed his symptoms first when he was doing the movie Doc Hollywood.
Yeah.
He said it just he couldn't stop his hand from kind of
Yeah.
moving or shaking or whatever. Michael J. Fox. I went to a comedy show one time and there was somebody made a Michael J. Fox joke and I like said, "Hey." And then the guy said, "Oh, the only person to get offended in the crowd's the fat guy."
Oh man.
And that was when I was like really big, so that was low hanging fruit for our boy. And the guy who was the one who said that to me, he was like in the TV show Robin Big when they do the turtle racing. Do you remember that
Hmm.
episode? He was the one who was like emceeing the turtle race. That was the guy I was seeing.
Okay. My sister watched that show a lot. I saw a little bit of it. What's the episode I really remember was when I think it was Big was like going to some high school reunion and he had like this Jerry curl wig or something. And my sister was watching it. It was something crazy like that,
There
if I
was
remember it.
they Robin Big was a good show, man. That was a good slice of 2006. I loved that show. And then when he started doing the show where oh my goodness, what it was ridiculous, is that what it was called, where he just like basically looked at web clips, he stole Taj.0 basically.
I checked out of that. I only saw Robin Big a few times at my sister's house in Pasadena when she watched it. And then I don't think I watched it a lot at home.
Robin Big was
What
good.
was I doing? Well, I don't know. What was I doing around that time? I think I was just playing in bands a lot and going to a lot of shows at
I
that
know what
time.
I know what I was doing, just drinking my face off, just being a complete loser. uh,
I think I would. Well, we all go through things, you know. I think I was playing guitar. That's when I was playing guitar like 3 to 4 hours a day. So at the time,
um
so I think a lot of time went to that and listening to albums and going to shows.
so what exactly is going on with Gary Busey? Have you looked into that? Like what's the deal?
His health, I guess, is not from what Jake told me, his health has just not been good. I saw him do commercials for, was it an insurance company or something? And it looks like, I don't know, like he might possibly have what Jake said, he said he couldn't remember his lines as much.
Hmm.
So his memory, I don't think is too great. I don't know how he pulled off those commercials, but maybe they just kind of let him ad lib a little bit. But he was still lively and fun. I'll have to send you the commercials if you haven't seen them, and they're pretty recent. Um, but it seems like he couldn't do the movies anymore because he couldn't get the lines down. His comprehension's just a little off, you know. So
Yeah,
sounding like it's along that time.
he's like turned it, like it's sad too because he's kind of just turned into a meme. Like anyone who sees Gary Busey now is like, "Let me talk to you about buttered sausage, buttered sausage." Like he's just a meme now.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, you know, to see him kind of, because he was one of those classic guys, you know, and you know Jake is like a tall version of him because like when I met Jake, he towered over me. He had to be like a good 6'5", 6'6".
How tall are you, Drew?
Me, I'm just about 6'2", but I had a neck injury when I was a kid, so I'm like 6'1" and a half. If I didn't have the injury, I'd probably be exactly 6'2".
Okay, I'm like 5'10", 5'11", something like
Gotcha.
that. Yeah, you're 6'1". You're Chris Paul's height, man. Like you're NBA point guard.
I'd be 6'2" if that teacher didn't make my neck crooked. I got
So,
my neck snapped out of place in third grade. That's what happened.
why? What happened with that?
I'll tell you the story, boys and girls. What happened was I got sick. I had a headache and I put my head on my desk like this as a kid. And the teacher got mad at me and she grabbed the back of my head like this.
Yeah,
She twisted it back and she turned it.
it's a
And she
felon.
said,
That's a felony.
yeah, she said, you will listen and learn in my class, and threw my head down on the desk. So when I got home, I was like, Mom, and like I had all these red handprints on my neck and stuff, and they had to take me to the hospital. So I had to wear a neck brace in third grade and go through treatment for a time. And then my parents got talked out of a lawsuit by a smooth talking uh, guy from the district.
Yeah. So what
That's what
happened to
happened.
wait, so what happened to the teacher? Did she get criminal charges?
No,
That's
no,
incredible.
nothing happened. And part of it's my fault because 2 years before that, when I first came out to the high desert, um, I know it sounds strange, but I would see things as a kid. For some reason, I had an uncle and he died, and then the night before he died, I saw him sitting on my bed, and I would see weird things. I don't know what it was.
Wait a minute. You're describing to me the plot of The Sixth Sense. What are you talking about?
That's kind of what happened. And so when I got to first grade at Parkview Elementary in Victorville, we were on the playground and there was like there's like the school and then there's a fence, and behind the fence there's like housing tracks, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a lady standing there, like right behind the fence. She was like just standing there. And I was like, oh man. And like I didn't know, but like according to the experience I had before, because I had another one too with a guy that was like a grandfather to me, um, Grandpa Jim. He passed away, and I saw him. So I saw the lady the same way I saw my uncle and Grandpa Jim, and I was like, that means she is dying or she did die. And I was just like standing there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I think somebody died over there. And so my teacher took it like something was going on, like
Like a
a
mental, like,
murder taking place or something. And I didn't know. I just saw it, and I was just
mhm.
like, ah. And they took it to the highest level. And next thing you know, here comes the sheriff's department, the fire department, and they're all looking at me. All right, kid, what'd you see? And I was just like, I just saw like a ghost like figure of a lady standing over there. And they're like, ghost. Oh man, this kid. So after that happened, I got marked as the kid that lied because of what I saw. So when that happened in third grade, they were
Yeah.
just like, oh, we're gonna talk the parents out of a lawsuit. That would be easy because like nobody will believe this kid anyway. Because look at
Did
what happened back in first grade.
did
Yeah.
they did you ever see the
Mhm.
lady other than her ghost?
No, no, not that lady. No,
Do you know how she
just that.
died? Do you have an idea of how she died?
Being older, working investigations, my guess would be she probably was murdered near that spot, and that's probably where she's buried. Would be my
Wait,
guess.
wait. So okay. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
We need to break this down real quick because I don't think a lot of people know this, but I believe in God and you believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
So it says in the Bible that the dead know nothing. So when
Right.
they're dead, so how are you seeing ghosts unless it's like a demon or something?
I don't know what to say. I couldn't even explain it. It's just something I just saw, but I could see it clear as day.
So
Yeah.
you think this lady was killed and she's buried around that school. So if they did some digging, they could find her body.
I would bet $1 million probably so.
That's really weird, man. If they did find it, they'd be looking for you because you're the only one who knew the 8-year
Mhm.
old Drew, 6-year old Drew.
Yeah, I don't know. At that age, at that time, I kept seeing stuff like that. I don't
What?
know.
Hey, man, I'm not saying that you can't see stuff because we've discussed that we've seen things before. Um,
God talks about that too, that there are things out there, but he says not to entertain them because our focus should be towards him. But he said, yes, there are strange things that exist, but not to be concerned about it. So we shouldn't get involved in that sort of stuff.
well, yeah, when you get involved with that kind of stuff, you invite it into your
That's why
like a vampire into your
inviting
residence. You
him to
know?
your house. That's where he's going to, is like, yeah, some things are, and what he says to follow up is like the old saying, which is some things are not meant to be tampered with, you know?
Yeah,
So don't go looking for those things, and leave them where they are, you know.
Yeah.
If you see something weird or something happens, just okay, and then go forward. But yeah, don't go into it.
What's your opinion on in the Old Testament they like talk about giants having existed? Is there
Yeah,
like it
the
and there's
Nephilim and the cherubim and stuff like that.
well yeah, and like Enoch. I don't even think they took the book of Enoch. They took the book of Enoch out of the Bible, didn't they?
That I'm not sure of.
Um
I've heard about that. You know,
Enoch allegedly was the only person to like never have died. Like he was brought directly to heaven. And
it's
they,
been talked about.
yeah, like and then there was a time when like giants existed and there's stuff in the world where like staircases that look like they're made for giant people. There's like things that have been discovered on Earth that are huge, just the way they're designed and stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
Um, you know, the thing about the Nephilim and the cherubim was they existed at one time. They were, things of different powers, different looks, different heights. And then you had guys like Goliath, that were around, David and Goliath,
Goliath of
that were
Gath.
giant. Yeah, and he was massively tall. So they existed at one time. The thing about it was, and they also talk about the Leviathan, different creatures, dinosaurs described, in different places and stuff like that. And they existed for a time, but it's like at the beginning of time, God created creatures, different things before he got to man, you know? And the thing about it was, I think God's focus was really to evolve us, and so those things were things of the past, ideas, or creatures or Nephilim that existed at one time. God decided that that was not the path. It's kind of like the Tower of Babel, how at one time everybody kind of spoke the same language,
Yeah,
you know?
and he had to break everybody apart and give them
Yeah.
different languages and different tongues so they couldn't like work together for evil.
Yeah, because they were all trying to build that tower to get to God. They were like, well, if God's so great, we'll just build this tower and we'll get to him. And he was like, I don't want you guys to do that. And they went and did anyway. And he knocked it down. And then everyone spoke different languages, like you said, because they were defiant against God, and he
Yeah.
asked them like not to do that. And that ties into what I'm saying too, is like, um, there were things that he went back and like people, he gives people a choice, a decision, right? And a lot of that stuff, the Nephilim, the cherubim, they were creatures that were considered to be people that went against things. They kind of just did what they wanted to do. God didn't exactly sign off on like what they were doing. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like Satan. He went and did his own thing. And we're all faced with decisions and choices to do things, and they were too. And they decided to just do whatever they wanted to do. And so God was like, I'm not really having them around, and they're not going to represent me because they're outside of me, because they decided to go down another path that they wanted to do. It's not in order with what I designed and wanted them to do. I gave them the free will to do so and to follow me. Cool. But they decided not to.
Mhm.
That was the thing about it. So, and how many times in the Bible did you see people that did things that God didn't want them to do, or like they got scared and they didn't want to
Like
do it?
like almost every one of them.
There you
Like
go. It's like,
universally every one of them.
yeah, they all are just like, oh, I don't want to do it. Moses was like, I got a stutter. I don't want to do it. Jonah's like, I don't want to go to Nineveh. Like those people, they're messed up. Like I got better things to do with my time, but he's just like, listen, I need you to do this. Like this is what I asked you to do, even with the disciples, like Judas turning against, Jesus. And you look at that and how Peter was, he's like, you're going to deny me left and right. And he's just like, no, I'm not. And that's the first thing he did, was he
Yeah.
denied people. So it's like people lost their faith, people doubting Thomas, different things like that. It happened. But with the cherubim and the Nephilim, they went on a whole nother path of things, so he was just like, I'm not going to deal with them. And he kind of put them over. It's like the Ark of the Covenant, you know, it wasn't needed anymore. It got lost somewhere, you know,
What
who
was the
knows
Ark of the
where.
What was the Ark of the Covenant? Was that what Jesus was, his death shroud?
Well, the Ark of the Covenant was supposed to be
Excuse
a
me.
holy practice and a communication piece for special priests to communicate with God, and it held relics, like they said, the Ten Commandments were in it, different things like that were
Okay.
inside of it. So it was a special chest that was only supposed to be touched by those blessed to touch and deal with it, and
And you could
priests.
talk. You could talk to God with this chest.
Communicated to a point with it, but directly through the people he signed off that were supposed to do it. If you touched it or I touched it and we were not supposed to be saying, we would die immediately. Okay. There's a
Okay.
story about it was on a horse was pulling it, like on a buggy setup, and it got loose and it was falling off. And a guy went to go push it back to stop it from falling. And as soon
Yeah.
as he touched it, he died. That's how sacred that thing was. Like nobody is supposed to touch this thing except for the people that are deemed worthy to touch it.
Okay.
So it was a very, yeah, like that's where Raiders of the Lost Ark messed up, was like as soon as they touched that chest, as soon as the hand touched the chest, you got to go. You're dead. So that
So
was the whole thing.
Indiana Jones was worthy then.
Well, technically, he didn't really, thinking about it, he didn't really touch it because the poles are what they
Yeah.
touch, right? So
Yeah.
he didn't really touch it. Now, when Belloc Renee, when he touched it, they actually opened it up and everything. So if you go by the depiction of what they say, as soon as they touched that chest, they should have died.
Yeah.
Okay, they did die, but it was after they touched it. So I mean, I guess you could line that up.
What's your opinion on like Noah's Ark? Do you think that that actually exists and is somewhere?
Mount Ararat up there somewhere.
They thought they found it up there. Like,
Yeah, they said there's pieces of wood that have fallen through that I guess they dated. I'm a little hazy on it. I think they dated it. It could be. I just don't know why they haven't gone up there. That's my biggest question. Is like, okay, we've known about this idea for years. Why they haven't gone up there, I don't know.
because they got to go check the Titanic scene out again for the fifth time. James
Oh my
Cameron,
god,
because James Cameron doesn't want to go up there. That's why.
he would be the guy to do something like that because he was the guy that went down and did all that Titanic work with oceanography and all that stuff, like he's Jacques Cousteau.
um, Changing subjects a little bit. Did you see the kid who's suing his parents for $150,000 because they named him Gaylord?
No,
there's
no.
this there's this kid who's like claiming emotional problems, and he's going through a lot of issues because when he's in class they even the teachers don't believe his name is Gaylord. They think it's a joke. And the parents are like, well, we named him after his grandpa, so we didn't think it was going to be a problem. So yeah,
What?
suing his parents for 150K for being called Gaylord. It's kind of
People are
crazy.
really liking. Yeah, I'm looking. Can you see the chat now?
I can't see the chat.
Okay. So people are liking the Starship Trooper hat. Sniffling Jackal 3459. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more because there's more on the hat. Crazy how the Bible describes Goliath's sons had 6 fingers and multiple tongues. Yeah, deformities were very highly known back then, and that's another thing. Why that happened, I don't know. I had a cousin. He had uh, 2 extra fingers on each hand when he was born.
Okay. Did they remove him?
They did.
Which finger was it?
So it was like right here, he had 2 fingers. So he had, was it 7 fingers?
Wow.
And then he had it over here.
Could
Yeah.
he move them and stuff, or how long did he have them
Mhm.
for?
He was like newborn. Like when he
Okay,
saw him in the hospital, he was all, and they would, I was like, ooh.
dude, they
So
ruined his NBA career. He could have been the greatest basketball handler of all time.
I don't know. They were kind of a little glitchy, from what I understood. So I don't know. It was kind of a weird thing. Ever heard of a? No, I have not. Sniffling jackal. I have not. You're gonna have to tell me.
What
Maybe
is that?
it's another name for it.
Heard of the what?
Creepid.
What so with the David and Goliath story,
Mm-hmm.
um why there was nobody in like Israel that would fight Goliath except for David. Is that correct?
Yeah. Everybody was terrified of him because he just ripped through people like real quick. And he was not just because he was big, because he was that skilled of a warrior as well as being big. So nobody wanted to fight him because he
Why
killed
would
people quickly.
how come the Israeli army didn't just say, "Well, we'll take them on a straight up army versus army battle"? Why did they have to listen to Goliath say, "Send out your best man versus me"?
That's old school. That's old school battle. You remember Troy? It's the best way to explain it. Remember Troy, the Brad Pitt
They,
version?
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's old school. Like your best warrior against our best warrior, and then we could stop all the bloodshed, between these armies, and we could just do it one on one, and the winner, gets to go this direction and gets this land or whatever the battle's about.
Hmm.
That's old school. So that's what that was about. That was old school battle. They had big battles, but and also, it kind of made it easy because you had this giant man that could slaughter anything. So, you get what you want faster because you don't have to go through this 20-year battle of war, with
Yeah.
trenches and gear. If you can solve it all like right there between two warriors, hey, that shaves off a lot of time. That's what that was about. And they had the upper hand, because they had this guy. I mean, Saul couldn't beat him. Jonathan couldn't beat him. Jonathan's my favorite person in the Bible, by the way.
Real? Why is that?
Okay. So I like Jonathan the most because Jonathan represents true friendship, true brotherhood, and true discipline to God. Because, okay, let's look at Jonathan. Jonathan is the next in line to be king, right? Because Saul's his father. All right.
Yeah.
God comes, says, hey, listen, Saul's messing up. I don't want him in that spot anymore. I want David to be king, right? So the bloodline of Saul doesn't matter. David's bloodline is who I want in place to run Jerusalem, right? Jonathan didn't get upset and say, hey, I'm supposed to be the king. What's going on here? He listened to God. He understood his father had lost his way. And remember, he protected and hid David from Saul. He hid him. And when Saul went looking to kill David because he was going to be the new king and Saul didn't like that, Jonathan was the one that hit him. Jonathan was the one that protected him. So he did what God wanted him to do. Now, what is the trippy part? Jonathan does die in battle. Why? I don't know, but he does. But I talked to somebody about this because I'm trying to write a book about Jonathan later on in the future, if I can get it figured out. One thing that was brought up was they said it could have been because Jonathan was that upstanding that he may have like talked David out of things too much, and David may have not been as humble in his life. So God wanted David to go through some trial by fire to really, temper him like steel. And if Jonathan was there, I think Jonathan would have put a lot of stops to that, automatically.
Protecting him
Yeah,
from
I
bad
think he would have
decisions.
protected David. Yeah, he would have protected David too much. Because if that stuff went down with Uriah and his wife Bathsheba and all that,
Hmm.
when he put Uriah in battle, got him killed, and then took Bathsheba for himself and all that stuff, if Jonathan was there, that wouldn't have gone down. Jonathan would have been like, "What are you doing?" Automatically, he'd have been like, "No, no, no, no! Like we're not having that."
Did he stay with Bathsheba?
Okay, so Uriah died by David's hand.
Yeah.
So you could say she's still in the mix, you know, because of that. But at the same time, once he had repented to God, then she went away. So he probably spent some time with her, but once he God and him had that conversation, then that's when she went away.
Did he marry her?
I don't think he did.
Okay. Um. Okay.
But his son, Solomon,
Yeah.
oh boy. Solomon had a trillion wives, a trillion concubines, a trillion everything.
Trillion
Solomon was
STDs.
probably, and God was really trying to lean on him because he was so wise. He was like the wisest guy, but he had a thing about women, and he just, and he was so bad that like he would fall away from God and worship idols to get a girl. He would do whatever it took to like get a girl. And so he was an even bigger disappointment. Like when you had David, you're like, man, David messed up. But Solomon was even worse. That was the thing about it. I think Absalom actually had more potential than Solomon as far as being more faithful. But I think David turning him away, like, I think that did something to him because remember, he killed his technical stepbrother. He killed him because unfortunately he did something to his sister, which I know we can't say that online.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why, and I kind of felt bad for him because David was like, we got to kind of leave this alone. And then Absalom's like, no, he can't be around. He's got to go because if he's going to go around doing this to my sister, he's going to go around doing this to everybody, all the other ladies, like no problem. And he's going to think he can get away with it,
Yeah.
and that's what that was about. So he put a stop to him. And so that's when David had to banish him. And then he got upset with David and, went against him and tried to do that revolt thing and all that. So I always said, like, if that had not happened and Absalom didn't go that path, I think he would have stepped in and possibly been like maybe a better ruler. And I don't think he would have been as womanizing as his brother was.
How
So
did
that's kind of the
how
thing.
did how did David die? Like what was his death?
He died of old age.
That's it?
Yeah. I don't think he was killed by anybody. No.
Wow. And he was like a man after God's own heart, according to
He
that's
was
what it
it.
said. Yeah, that's what it said.
David, see that it's a testament to all of us, this story about David, because not so much how he died, it's so much about how he lived. That's why when he died, it doesn't really go deep into things because it's more about what he did when he was alive. David messed up a lot, but he had a repentative heart. He always repented. He always, was sorry for what he did, and he tried to do things better. He never gave up. That was the
Mm.
thing about David. He always, at the end of the day, he always did what God asked him to do. And that was the thing that really separated David from a lot of people. Was like he never got caught up on his own hype. He knew he's like, oh man, I messed up. Let me go and make this right with God. And that's why he said he's a man after God's own heart, because he always did that.
Hey, can I ask you a question? This is like we're kind of off topic, but like
Go for it.
going back to what you were saying about seeing that lady on the
Mm-hmm.
playground. Have you ever
Mm-hmm.
had any situations like that now as an adult?
Okay, so there's a story. When was I 25? I had a stroke episode. And when I was working at the courthouse, I had to be rushed to the hospital, and I had died for about, I don't know, what was it 5, 6, 8 seconds? I can't even remember.
You died? What do you mean you died?
They were working on me on the table, and I faded out. That was it.
Okay.
So, and I was looking over my body, like I was up here, and I was looking down.
You could see yourself?
Hmm.
Could you
Yeah,
see people or you could see the people working on you?
yeah, I could see that.
And what were you thinking?
This is weird, and like what happened was my life, like from my earliest memory up until current, like went like a flash before my eyes. Like I remember that, and it was a lot of a light in that. And then I came back into the body and I woke up and I threw my arms up because they were getting ready to hit me with those defibrillator pads.
Okay.
because I heard
And
they hurt. So I put mine.
yeah.
So
So what happened? What was your thought process after that? What did you change?
I did. I was really weird. Like I would like just hear things like I never heard. Like it was much more clearer. I could see things and feel. Really, it was more. I could feel a lot of things more than I normally could previously. It was really
Okay.
weird. So I'm not like what is it? With
Like a
Christopher
ghost
Walken,
whisperer?
The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly like that, but my investigative partner was more like him. I could feel certain things, but I couldn't necessarily like control it. It was just like it would show up at random times and do its own thing. Rick could actually like he actually like learned like how to like make it work for him. It was weird.
Can
I don't
you
know how.
can you feel people's energies?
Sometimes
What do you get from me?
you
Yeah.
well, it randomly shows up, but I've gotten it before, when I'm usually around people. So in the past, when I was around you when I first felt it, no, pure good soul. That's what I felt from you. I didn't see, we all have our challenges and different things, but the thing about you, Alex, is you're a genuine, pure, good guy. You went through crazy trials in your life that may cause you to make some dicey decisions, but altogether, you've only thrived to be a good man and to do right by people, despite your challenges, which is the sign of being a good man.
Okay. Well, I'm into that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
No, absolutely. You know, it's sporadic like when it comes around. My partner, he works with it 24/7. Like he's so good with it. I re- did I tell you this story? We were we were working a case and we were being followed on foot by a guy. And I remember we were driving and Rick knew we were being followed. And he told
Okay.
me, "I'm going to tell you when to look and you're going to see this guy jumping over this wall." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Look to your left right now." And as soon as I turned my head and I looked, there goes this guy jumping over the wall. Rick just knew. He
That's
has this weird way. Like I've been with him. He's like, "I'm going to show you how I follow people." I said, "Okay." So we're driving and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to pick a car." I said, "That car." And he followed the car to a point and then he stopped and he was like, "Based upon this pattern and my sense, I guarantee you they live in this house right there." And he drove up, did a couple turns, had not followed the car for a while. And then all of a sudden we ended up right where that house was, right where that car was.
that's crazy. We need him. Where's him? Like we need him to chase down like serial killers and stuff.
Well, that's what he
Seriously.
did for a long time. Rick, he did undercover operative. He did all kinds of stuff like that. That's what he did with investigations. He was notoriously known for that. I mean, I could get him on Slash Tracks anytime you want,
Okay.
pretty much. I just got to work with this schedule, but he'll come on for me. Yeah, for sure.
That'd be interesting
Rick
to
and
get
we
that.
go back. Yeah, he's the most trippiest guy I've met. And I also got to meet a lot of guys he worked with when he was undercover, a couple of them. And one guy particularly, that guy was on a whole nother thing. He
Yeah.
should have left the program. He kept going back into undercover programs and it just kind of fried his brain.
Because he was
So
just
he
like constantly being somebody
yeah.
else and like being exposed to crazy shit.
Yeah, it
Like,
really cracked him. It cracked him up. And I was like, man, and he never blinked. Alex, the guy never blinked, not once. He
what?
walked
Is he
in like
just
eyes like
traumatized?
wide open. Yeah, eyes wide open, just 24/7.
That's
24/7.
how is that not a dead giveaway? Dead giveaway. How is that
he
not a
was
dead giveaway if he comes in acting like that?
he was wild, man. But if something crazy happened, he's the guy you wanted, But he was out there. and I hope he's doing better now. If he's still alive. Last time I heard, he was still alive, so that he's
Okay.
doing good.
Yeah,
But
like
Rick, yeah, Rick was a trip.
those FBI like investigations where people go undercover, like the Donnie
Mhm.
Brasco thing, or like people going undercover for Hell's Angels and stuff, and like they can't commit a felony when they're undercover. That's got to be hard to not commit a
Mhm.
felony when you're undercover, because that's isn't that prerequisite? Like,
Well, here's the
how does
thing.
that work?
Okay, so when you're undercover, your cover cannot be blown, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff you got to do to sell that you're legit. That's the name of the game. So you are given a pass for a lot of that stuff because it's the only way that you could get close to what they need to get to. That's the whole reason you're there.
Hmm.
So they've gotta, you've gotta sign up for things you don't want to sign up for. You got to do things you definitely probably don't really want to do, you
Yeah.
know? And that's what comes with the territory, And that's how a lot of these guys end up sometimes they can go rogue, because they get living that part so much and they're taking all this stuff and doing all these things that they're just
Hmm.
kind of a part of it. Not all, but it can shift a lot of people easy for sure, because they're just like, well, yeah, I can, do my thing with that. And also, when you do that, only certain people know about you. Okay. So in the
Yeah. Like,
departments, only certain people know. So that means all the other people that don't know, they view you and they tell you that they're rogue. They've gone sideways, they've gone bad. So you can get chased by, your old partner if he's not in on it.
yeah, you can get probably arrested by your own
Yep.
unit.
That happened a lot. So that was the thing about it. So you had to balance that out as well, that like, while you're out there doing your thing, you got to watch that because they might, try to get you too. So
It's crazy. It seems like whenever they go undercover, though, they don't get like a lot
mhm.
of the extra pay. They don't get like a lot. Like, it's almost like a handshake and like a medal or something. Like, most of the time, it's not like a bunch of extra combat pay from what I've seen.
No,
What is?
it doesn't go down to that at all. You're
Why
right.
would you ever sign up then to do that?
Because people think, they're going to make a difference. They think that they're going to, change things. So people, they sign up for it, or they're adrenaline junkies, and that's another thing,
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where it takes a special person to want to do that, to put
Hmm.
themselves in that position. Because it's a very dangerous spot, you put yourself in, when you do that. Like, who would want to? I personally, I wouldn't want to do that 24/7. Like no way. You know, and if you're in for a significant amount of time, and let's say you have a family, you have wife, you have a couple kids, maybe more than that. Like, how does that pan out for them? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Probably not good at all. Probably not
not
good
good
at
at
all. You're
all.
never around.
Yeah,
Miss them
you're
growing up. Yeah.
when you come back, how are you? That's the other thing. With all the stuff you did and are exposed to, how are you mentally? Are you even that same guy, that you were before the program?
Hmm.
That's hard, you know? Like, you get stuck on that and live in that lifestyle, that can be a very hard lifestyle to break apart from.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. I bet. You know what else is a hard lifestyle to break apart from is that the lifestyle that Ice was living and surviving the game.
Oh my
When he
gosh.
homeless guy gets recruited by like a local food kitchen worker or whatever, pastor or whatever he is,
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that Charles
Rock.
Dutton? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Charles
Rock,
Dutton.
to be a hunting guide. They're gonna pay him to be a hunting guide, and then it turns out they end up hunting him. It's like
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
it's one of the most entertaining, crazy movies. Surviving the game. Um, that was like one of those movies we'd rent all the time when we were younger. Like that would be in the stack of tapes we'd get. And what's even crazier is like they've made other movies like that recently, and I've heard the Epstein stuff and like all these other things like and all this human trafficking stuff. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if that stuff actually happens. where like human beings are hunted?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they've talked about anything's possible, buddy, you know. Um, I don't put things out of the realm too much, you know. I think people, especially people with a lot of power and different things, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they could do,
Yeah,
you know,
I
or
mean,
could be doing. I mean, Epstein's Island is just scratching the surface, you know, as far as that goes.
there's like a bunch. Yeah, like did you follow? Did you pay attention to any of that stuff when it came out?
I did, and I remember one thing that was really weird to me was um, the the judge that was supposed to do the case for his female cohort.
Yeah, Giselle or Griselda or whatever her name is.
Yeah, a hitman was sent to her house as a FedEx guy, and apparently killed the son and the husband, if I remember right. There's a
Her
whole thing
son and
about,
husband.
yeah, one of the judges that was supposed to do that case. I heard about it briefly. I don't know what came out of it, but apparently they both got killed
Oh, the
by,
judge's family members.
yeah, as their son and her husband or something like that.
They're saying
Yeah,
that like she's not even actually the one in prison. Like they're saying it doesn't. Her face doesn't even match
it's
Ghislaine
somebody else.
Maxwell's. They're saying it might be somebody else doing time for her because
Who
they have
knows?
ties to the people up top. And
It's a
like,
weird situation, man. Like, I wonder what happened after that hitman thing. That was weird. It was like it was all front out there in the news, like that happened. I was like, is there
uh,
some weird stuff going on there?
well, they never. There really hasn't been any like the people that went to the island and stuff. There hasn't really been any people being arrested for that or anything. Like,
They
real
haven't
like
been talking about it for a long time. So I don't know what's going on with that whole case, you know. I don't know what they're gonna do about it. Is it gonna be like the Heidi Fleiss thing? Is it just gonna be, you know, swept under the rug? I don't know.
yeah, I feel like it is. I feel like it is already swept under the rug.
Because you got the whole what's his name, Puff Daddy guy. You got him, you know, and his stuff, you know.
Puffy only went to. He only got like 3 years or something. Like, how is that possible?
He had his own little operation going on. I just saw a video of him beating up some girl in the hallway with a bathrobe on, you
That
know,
was
and
his
I was like,
Cassie. Yeah, that was his ex, Cassie, or whatever her
what?
name is.
I was like, what is going on here? Because you know, I don't know a lot about the hip hop thing, but you know, I just kind of followed like a little bit of what was going on with that case, and I was like, yeah, this is weird, you
Do you
know.
think? Do you think that he got such a small prison sentence because he's a multimillionaire?
Yeah, obviously, you know, people don't understand the power of money and power. You know, they don't. Like, people think, oh well, if you do this, you get guilty, you go to jail, this will happen. Not necessarily so. You know, like people with the right connections, the right level of power, the right money. There's a lot that certain people can do depending on who they are. You know, if you're a person that is seen a certain way or is connected a certain way, I should say, a lot can happen. You know, that's it really depends on who you are. Like, as an example, take Michael Jackson. Okay, like Michael Jackson was very feared because he owned a lot of stuff.
Yes, he owned the Beatles catalog. He owned his own
Mhm.
catalog. He
Right.
owned a ton of stuff.
He owned a lot of stuff, and people didn't want him to have that stuff. They wanted it. So I strongly believe that Michael was taken out because of what he had. You know, people wanted that. They wanted that for themselves. Um, I don't think the stuff they accused him for, I don't think he did any of that stuff. Michael had a lot of heat on him because of who he was and what he represented, you know, which was a guy that liked to help people and change the world, you know, that. And because of that, you can't control somebody like that, you know, you can't get them to do those things in the dark because he's
Yeah.
not a dark guy. So automatically that means they can't control him because they could bring that stuff to him and he'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that, you know? And
Hmm.
that's kind of the thing. And in same ways, with Prince too, because Prince, had his own thing going on that he had to disguise because he didn't want to get wrapped up by a lot of those people too. So it's kind of interesting that you have people that may disappear from the spotlight or may do things a certain way because they want to avoid certain things like that, you know.
What about R. Kelly?
What I do know of him, I'll say this. The man, he's got a problem. Okay. Like I followed that pretty closely. And I
Yeah,
say this because he married what's her name? R&B
Aaliyah.
young lady. Yes. Okay. He was with her when she was like super, super underage, super, super young.
Yeah,
Okay. And all he's been with or dated or been around was young girls. They talked about how he would go down to McDonald's and hang around those girls that would get the summer jobs that were in high school, stuff
yeah.
like that. And that's all. I don't ever hear of him with grown adult women around his age. Like that's all he's got. And that's all he surrounds himself with is just like, just that.
Teenage girls.
Yeah, he's got a problem. And then they had a teacher of his. I saw an interview with the teacher of his from when he was in, I think he was in high school or something like that. And she said that there was a problem. And she told him, she said, Robert, stop. I'm editing what she said. She said, stop lying to me and don't con me with this and leave those girls alone. And that's what she said. So he was known for weird practices because there's a video about him talking about his mom. And the way he talks about his mom, you would have pretty much thought that his mom was his girlfriend.
What was he saying?
He was like, I had the most amazing woman in the world was my mother, and I had the biggest crush on my mom. And I remember we were kind of poor, and we would get a McDonald's coffee, and we'd have to share a McDonald's coffee. And I was just enamored because my mom would leave her lipstick on the coffee, and I'd like to drink. It was something weird like that. It was very odd. He's
Mm,
an odd man, okay, and
okay.
he's very very different. Um,
How long is he in
he,
prison for? Is he in prison for life, or is he?
I don't know if he's in for life, but I think he's in for a minute. I have to check, but he's very, very odd. I mean, the videotape came out. Everybody saw the videotape, said it was him, right?
Mhm.
But still, the book didn't get thrown at him all the way, which was the oddest thing on this planet. Which, you know, it gets back to what I was saying earlier. When you get a certain connection and level, a lot of things go a certain way that wouldn't go for normal people.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you. Definitely.
It's and a lot of that stuff happened with him. It's happened with a lot of those people because and I'll say this, if you get thrown out like Michael Jackson did, that means you were not a team player at all. That means they couldn't control you and they completely want to destroy you. That's what that means.
Um, do you think that Vince McMahon, like, because he's obviously a billionaire and like he's been accused of like straight up the R word to that referee back in the 80s
Hmm.
in the limousine, and then he's been accused of some like vile stuff in this Janelle Grant case, and there's been a bunch of stuff that like stuff like him in massage parlors and stuff, but he's never been convicted of anything. Is that because of who he is?
Yeah, yeah. It's because of who he is.
That's that makes me. It's. I remember when the Owen thing happened. Like it's totally not even the same thing we were talking about, but like when that happened, I was like, I can't. I felt so conflicted to watch WWE because I was like, I can't watch this with a guy like that running the company. Like I felt weird about it.
As Vince said himself, he put his own self up there and his own children in the name of entertainment. So Vince, his focus is entertainment. His focus is entertainment and his business, and that's what he's about. So, I mean, he'll do whatever he can in the name of that. You know, you look at Ashley Massario. Remember her?
Yeah, she was really pretty. She was a blonde punk girl who was like diva search, and she ended up unaliving herself.
Well, did you hear the story about what happened to her in the Middle East?
Yeah, I heard that she got SA'd and they covered it up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't the doctor, like, somebody came in and pretended to be doctors or something?
Yeah. Well, who do you think was at the helm of all this that knew more than anybody else? Vince?
Vince? You think so?
Of course
I
he knows.
heard
He knows everything.
I saw that Vince was like he was actively trying to like get with her, and she like wasn't having it. So it was like causing problems because she was dating another wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
What are you pointing out?
I was just pointing like this because you were right, and I was going, "You're getting
Yeah, no,
somewhere." Yeah, you're
she
getting
was
somewhere.
yeah, she was dating, like, so there's this other wrestler that like has all the receipts because like he saw that she was like being harassed by Vince. Like Vince like basically just wanted to sleep with anything and everything.
Yeah, that's why when this one young lady, when that let off all this trial, when that came out, it lines up with everything that everybody else had said. You know that he when he went after somebody, that's what he did, and that's what he did with her. So it's like, here you go. And she rejected Vince. So Vince, of course, like he hid, the whole thing in the Middle East, as much as he could, and
Yeah.
denied it and all that stuff because she didn't play for the team, right? So
Mhm.
he denied it. She's out of the company, she can't get any work, things are going south, she's got problems, she unalives, that whole thing. I mean, that's what goes down. So that's how Vince has always worked, that's the thing about it. If you go against Vince and what he wants, you're going to have issues. That's
Mhm.
what it'll be. Unless he needs something from you, then maybe he'll, I don't know, work whatever deal he can for you.
Yeah.
Like when he tried to ruin Brett, as an example, he still needed Brett in a lot of ways because he knew fans wanted merchandise. He knew fans wanted his matches, right? So he
Hmm.
had to bite the bullet and be like, hey, let's make a peace pact here because, fans want your stuff. And I know you really prize your matches, right? Because Brett really does.
Yeah.
He wants his matches and stuff. So, he was able to work a deal with Brett based upon that.
He didn't have
Because
access to his library.
that's
Brett was
right.
like Brett was like agonizing over that because he's like, my entire career for the most part was in WWF. So, and I have
Hmm.
no access to these matches. And then he wouldn't have access to his matches in WCW because Vince owned that.
That's right.
The only thing you would, and then Stampede, does Vince technically own Stampede even though he didn't pay for it? How the hell does that work?
Okay. So that's a very good question.
Does he
Does
own Stampede?
I think in some ways he probably does, or he might have released it, possibly. There might have been a chance because what are they doing up in Canada right now? Because like I think I heard something about Stampede.
They might have a new Stampede Wrestling.
Yeah, so I think that they're wording it a certain way or he released it, but I know that he bought what Stu had and owns that, even though he didn't pay for all of it. And the reason why Stu and Helen didn't go after him is because he thought that he would mess up Brett, Jim, Davey, and Dynamite,
Hmm.
their
Yeah,
careers.
to keep them,
And
yeah,
they
keep them
were,
in work
yeah.
and have a job
And
and
they had
stuff.
really pushed, that was their deal, to push to put them in there to make sure that they were okay. And I feel, and it was said that's why they didn't seek litigation because of that. So even though he didn't finish paying them what he owed them, and I don't think he finished paying the other territories too. You know, all the territories he bought, I think he owes money to all of them. I think he did the same thing he did with Stampede. He paid them a portion. They said, "Yeah, cool," and then waited for the rest of it. I don't think it came out.
Why? I mean, why do that though when you have the money to pay it? What's the reasoning? Because the only reason the Janelle Grant thing even came up into public view was because he made the initial like payment or two or three, and then he stopped making payments to her, so she didn't have to like follow the NDA anymore because he stopped fulfilling his end of the agreement.
Yeah.
So why even do
Yeah.
that?
Vince's weird practices, man. And that's why I think Shane looks the way that he does, because like I think Shane knows like how messed up his dad's done things, and
Hmm.
how I think Shane's is trying to right some wrongs if he could. And I think that's why Vince didn't put him in the slot that he is. I think that's why he put Stephanie over Shane, because Stephanie would probably be more cutthroat than Shane. You see? If you think about it, let's think
Well,
about
yeah,
that.
I agree with you too because Vince always said that Stephanie was more like him.
Yes. See, Shane's not. Shane's different from the family.
He's more
So,
leads with his heart and
mhm,
caring and not as cutthroat. And
yeah. And Vince didn't want to put him in the spot, even at the point when Shane was right about UFC,
yeah,
right? And look at what he missed out on. So it's like he won't even listen to him with that when it makes sense. So that tells me right there that he doesn't want Shane in any power position or play, because he won't be like dad. He won't be like Vince. That's the thing
Shane
about it.
Shane stuck around and wrestled probably 10 to 15 too many matches because he started having some freak injuries. Do you remember some of the stuff that happened to him? He like came in like to face. I can't remember. I cannot remember who his most recent WrestleMania thing, but he like blew out his both his knees or something like that. Do you remember that?
Well, Shane did all that wild, crazy stuff off the top ropes,
Yeah, yeah.
diving 20 feet, across with holding one leg, and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Shane did some wild stuff. So, of course, he has some wild injuries. He put Shawn Michaels to shame in some ways because he was doing so many crazy things.
When he jumped off the Titantron, do you remember that? He like
Yes.
Shane. He like takes his cross or whatever and goes, and then does the jump. I was like, whoa, like this man is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he gave Sabu a run for his money. He was doing so much, diving off of wild stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he's not in a permanent body cast, drinking out of a
Dude,
straw.
Sabu had a really weird end of his life. He like had that last match, looked like he was like trying to do the best he could, but he could barely move. And then he died like a week later or something like that. And then they said they found a bunch of kratom in his system just so he
Yeah.
could like get up to take. And kratom's like some crap you can buy at like a convenience store. What do you know what kratom is? Like, what is that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
It's like some over the counter stimulant or something,
What is he
but
using it for? To get him
pro-
up?
probably get him up to do the match, like to do that match. But the guy couldn't even walk. Like, why were they trying to have a farewell match? I mean, I guess you know what wrestlers probably always think they have one last match. Probably, I don't know. It just sounds so much like the movie The Wrestler to me. Sabu.
Uh,
It almost mirrors that movie.
Sabu was wild, man. Like New Jack and Sabu, those guys are on a whole nother planet.
New Jack, dude. New Jack tried to kill somebody in a wrestling ring. When he
That
threw
probably
that
wouldn't have been
guy,
the first time.
well, no, he threw that guy like through the ladder off the top of that like scaffold or wherever the hell they were. He
Yeah.
like tried to kill him.
I
You,
think it
you
was
don't.
Axel Rotten, if I
I
remember it.
I
Yeah.
can't remember. I can't remember who it was, but he tried to kill him.
Well, because
Um,
he said he was trying to get him back for when he dropped him from
it,
before, because
he
they did that
did.
match before and he messed up and he let New Jack go the wrong way because he froze and left him, and so he fell and it didn't go right, and he he hit, and he said like brain juice was coming out of his nose and stuff,
The
and he
guy
had to
that
go to the hospital. No, New Jack.
New Jack said he had like
Yeah,
cerebral
because he
fluid
took
going
him
through
up
his nose.
right. He took him up the scaffold, and they were going to do that thing, right? They're supposed to go through the tables and all that, and then the guy let him loose off the wrong section, so he went and landed wrong, And that's how he got the injury like that. So he's in the hospital and he said, yeah, he never called me. He didn't say nothing to me. I didn't hear anything from the guy. So they want us to do it again. And I did it again. But then this time I was running it. And he said he hit him to get it right, Alex. He hit him with a taser before he dropped him so that he couldn't move. So he could put him anywhere he wanted to. He hit him with a
Yeah.
taser. He's like, I can't feel my legs, Jack. He's like, you're not going to need him. Bombs away. He pushed him.
So
Yeah.
how did New Jack not get like attempted murder charges?
He did get in court for that stuff, but he was, by the grace of something, he managed to get out. There was always a way for him to get out. So when they went to trial over the mass transit thing,
Mhm.
they worked the jury, pretty much. So they were just like, oh, this is racist, and that came up, and because the dad called him some racial slurs, and they tied that in to, is he really that bad of a guy? And they worked the
Yeah.
case. Yeah, they worked. And I was going to say that Axel Rotten wasn't the only guy he almost killed. There was another guy. He said, I got one of those Wolverine Baraka blades. And he said he stabbed up some guy in the match with that. Like, all over.
So he shanked this dude in a match?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a New Jack fan, or did you like, what's your opinion on New Jack?
He was insane. He was
Yeah.
funny. He was a funny guy. I mean, he's
Yeah.
hilarious, but I mean, I don't know. Like, he was also very disturbed because he had no problem. Like if he had to do it, he would just do it. That was the thing about it, is like, like he beat that guy Gypsy Joe halfway to death.
Dude,
You
I
know?
don't think that I could physically hurt somebody unless they were like trying to kill me or someone I loved.
Oh my gosh, Johnny Utah is quoting the exact thing I was just thinking about.
What was he saying?
He said, New Jack said this. I'll never forget this. He said, "I like to send a special shout out to my homeboy OJ Simpson. Keep up the good work. Two less we got to worry about." He actually sure did say that. I remember that. Yes, that is his most
What?
iconic line. Yeah, you didn't know about that?
No, I
Yeah.
never. No,
So
that's
when he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Jim Cornette
no.
ran that. And Jim Cornette, he's the guy that hired New Jack and Mustafa to be the gangsters, right? And he
Yeah, I
said,
knew
I want
that.
you guys to be racist over the top, like Nation Islam, throwing bean pies, like get into the whole thing. So he said, one of the things he asked for, he's like, you guys got to get the crowd really spun up. And that's where that came from, because the OJ Simpson thing just happened. And that's when he said that live on TV,
Hmm.
and people went nuts. He did things to just make people mad. He said he would go to Walmart because I guess he had some dental work done and he couldn't talk. So they went to Walmart and they got a baby doll, like a Caucasian baby doll, and they put a noose around the doll's neck and carried it around to the ring. And he didn't have to talk, but he said it gave him so much heat just dragging that thing around.
I'm
He
sure.
would do stuff like that. New Jack would do anything he could to make people mad, and that's what he was there for, and that's what he would do. So yeah, the OJ Simpson thing is his most famous thing. When he did that, people went crazy.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
He never worked in WWE, did he?
No. I
There's no
heard
way.
because they said he was too crazy. You
Yeah,
know.
there. You. So wait a second. So Vince is like, yeah, I can't have New Jack. A guy who's never actually killed somebody work for me, but we can definitely have Snuka.
Well, New Jack, New Jack probably would have caused a lot of problems. He probably tried to take out a couple people and do some weird stuff because he had that addiction to cocaine.
Yeah. Well,
So
hey, do you think that Snuka was guilty?
yeah, oh yeah.
Do you think that he would have been convicted had he been faced trial?
Hmm.
Why did?
If his dementia or whatever he had didn't set in, if he was still all there and he went to trial, like yeah, I think they would have gotten him because
I
he.
mean,
Mhm.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say because Tony Atlas talked about that. He said because his ex lady, Tony's ex lady, was friends with Nancy Argentino, and he said like that when he like hit Nancy, he hit her so hard it turned her head backwards like Beetlejuice when she died. It like spun her head.
And she was still alive though, right? After that, didn't she die of like trauma?
Mm-hmm.
I well, I don't know, man. Like, how the hell did it not get prosecuted for like 35 years? Because Vince bought off the police station.
Yeah. He walked in with 60 grand, apparently, took the suitcase in, walked out with Stuka with no suitcase. So yeah, he paid those guys off.
60 grand would do it.
They said it's 60. I think they said the number was 60. Might have been more, but yeah, yeah, it was that.
And what, they just buried it as a cold case or something?
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
How could you live with yourself if you're Snuka?
Well, apparently he was getting dementia or something going on, so I guess he wasn't in the right mindset, Who knows how long? I don't know. Snuka did his thing, Billy Jack Haynes apparently killed his wife, slipped that up.
Yeah,
Dino Bravo got killed by the mafia at his house. You
yeah.
know, you got a list of people, that were out there doing some wild stuff.
Who
You
was
know,
your who was your like who were like your top three wrestling deaths that really affected you? Like when they passed away, you're
ooh,
just like, dude, that sucks.
number one, the Von Erichs.
The whole family?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen.
It was like clearly they were all like codependent and like, I mean, they just had a weird thing where like they thought they were going to die and go be with their brothers in heaven, right? They had some sort of misguided belief or something.
It was very bizarre because even before them, with Jack Jr., the first one that died, how he died as a little kid when he got electrocuted and then, fell in the puddle of water and drowned of the
Do you
snow.
do you think that family was cursed for real, or do you think it was like just bad luck?
I don't believe necessarily in curses, but like it was odd. Something was, I don't even know what to say. Like something was going on there. Like it was odd circumstances. And, I think that outside of Jack Jr., I think that was a freak occurrence. Very bizarre, but it was weird. But the other boys, I think mental illness was somewhere in there, heavily. Um, David may have been the one that probably didn't have that. He had, that was said that he was taking, drugs and had intestinal issues, maybe from that, maybe from something else. And that it erupted, and his
Mhm.
stomach blew. So I would say that David was probably maybe the odd one out that didn't have that, you know,
Yeah.
uh, unfortunately, and he was supposed to be the trend center, right? David was supposed to be the one that had everything. Was David.
And he is David the one that's still alive?
No, David was the one that died in Japan.
Kevin. Kevin is the one. Yeah.
Kevin's the
Okay.
one. Yeah, Kevin.
David was the one that was like super tall and like had
Yeah.
long blonde hair. Okay, and wore like a cowboy hat.
Yep.
Okay.
The Yellow Rose of Texas. That was
And
David.
he was the most popular one.
David was the one that had everything. He could talk. He was big. He could wrestle. He had the gift of the gab. He could do it all. And that was the one. Even Ric Flair said David was the most gifted one. Like he could do everything that you could do in wrestling. He could do it all. And so that's why, when he died, that was big because he was supposed to be the heavyweight champion. And so that's why when he died, then they had to decide which Von Erich was going to step in. And then Kerry got selected. But Kerry couldn't keep the belt because Kerry was kind of irresponsible. You know,
Yeah,
Kerry, the
Carrie was out
drugs, the drinking.
partying and
Yeah, that was the problem. Like they couldn't depend on Kerry because of his problems. Like they wanted to push Kerry, you know, his look, his skill, you know, he was also very gifted, but he was a mess. You
Mhm.
know, in the new documentary they did on Legends, it's a two-part, and his daughters are on this one. So they got everybody on this one. They finally managed to get everybody.
Okay,
And
in Lacey's on that too.
yeah, Lacey's on it. Um, his other daughter, gosh, who is it? Lacey and come on, Drew. What's wrong with my old mind? Her name will come, but she was on there too. She didn't wrestle, but they both kind of gave their recollection of like what happened. And it's a whole nother look. Like this one, they really get into some stuff, and you know, they talk about how, you know, their dad would be like driving drunk with them in the car, and you know, like
I
all
mean,
kinds of
they
stuff. He would be out of his mind, like doing weird stuff, seeing there was ants crawling on his arm, and he would take a razor blade and cut his arm, and all kinds of wild stuff.
wait because he was like tripping.
Hmm. Yeah, he was majorly like losing it, and it really, you know, it really
It really
affected, you know, the family deeply.
Yeah.
Uh, it was it was a trip, like what happened, and one of the girls got ran over.
Which, wait, like ran and died, or she's all messed up?
No, she's good to go today, but she was majorly messed up and somehow survived. But she got ran over.
I did see stories about the Von Erich, like his daughters talking about how he would be driving drunk or like he got into like some accidents with them, right, in the car. Is that what you said?
Hmm.
And that lifestyle in the 80s, man, like for all those pro wrestlers, is just such a crazy and the 80s in general, like I think the 80s in general, a lot of people like smoking, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, like living that hard life. And then you throw in all the traveling and all the stress and the expectations of like being in that family. And then also Johnny Utah said in the chat, he said the Von Erichs had to put on that image of being a clean cut, God loving family.
Yeah,
So probably a lot of extra stress. Sean says, "Rest in peace, Hayden Panettiere." Yeah, we talked about that, Sean, earlier in the start of this live. I guess she had a drug overdose, so that sucks.
it's yeah. Rest in peace, Hayden. You know, that's a sad situation. But on the Von Erichs, you know, the dad, mom, and this is what's interesting. This interview talks about mom. Okay, it gets into Dottie, gets into Dorothy, it gets into her, and
Okay,
they're saying that she played a big part in the boys too. Like that she was like telling them like stuff. It just wasn't dad. They were saying they were hinting to that in a big way that like the mom was not as great as what we think for her to be. Like she was difficult on the boys too. Um, and that
like
Fritz,
like in
mhm,
what way? Like in what way?
like she would, you know, she would they were really hinting that she was the one that really pushed the good Christian clean image like big time and made sure
Hmm.
that like they were run a certain, and then Fritz did it from his angle and she did it from her. So they were getting hit from both sides.
Yeah,
That's what they were really saying. A lot of that was they were getting hit from both sides with the boys, you
lot of
know, and
expectations.
a lot of expectations on them. And Carrie particularly, they really put a lot of pressure on Carrie. Carrie was like, they wanted a lot out of Carrie, you know.
Because they thought that he was going to be the one.
Hmm. Yeah, they wanted a lot out of Carrie, and that's why he lost his foot, because part of the reason, and this is what people, and unless you saw the documentaries, you probably know, the foot actually worked. They were able to get it to be okay. But the problem was Kerry walked on it before he should have. That was the problem. And Fritz was pushing him. Everybody's pushing him to get back in the ring,
Okay.
and start training and all that stuff like that before he was supposed to. So that's what actually, did out his foot. And he was also in a drunken stupor. He smelled some food and walked on it, as well.
Mhm.
Like before he was supposed to. That when they did it, he was supposed to just leave it there. He walked on it too soon, tried to return to wrestling too soon, got gangrene. They had to take it off. That's what happened.
His whole run in the WWF was with one foot.
Yeah.
Like he would shower with his wrestling boot on. Like he was trying to, like, I heard that he was in a match with somebody. I can't remember who he was in a match with. They grabbed his leg for a hold and they pulled his foot off in the match.
Yes. I can't remember who it was, but they remember taking the boot and they were all,
yeah.
It happened. And then Kerry had to like roll and sell it a certain way, and get it back. Like his lace came loose, and then he was working it in. Yeah, it was. I gave it to Kerry that and they also said that it was painful, that it was bleeding all the time, the stump, because of the way he had to lace his boot and everything like that. It was not comfortable. It bled a lot and it blistered a lot, and all kinds of stuff was going on in there with the stump, unfortunately. But Kerry had to go out and make it happen. It, like, just standing on it gave him a whole lot of pain, and he went and did it anyway because that's what was expected out of him. That was the thing. And to the point, like, where, we all, I mean, if everybody doesn't know, what happened was he had broke his probation.
I did know that, and he was going to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
How long was he going to go to jail for, though?
Probably a while.
How long?
Shoot, man, I don't know. It wasn't looking good for him because he had some heavy drug charges. He had a record stacked on him for that, and he had violated his probation more than once. So it wasn't looking good. I don't know how long, but they were definitely going to take him, and that's what really kind of pushed him over. And that's when Brett talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know this, but if you know your wrestling, you know that Stu Hart trained Fritz Von Erich.
I'm not sure that I knew that. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, he trained Fritz. So the Von Erich kids lived in Canada for a while at the Hart House with the Hart kids. That's why Brett knew him the way he knew him, because they were always around each other. Yeah.
They all lived together?
Yeah, they lived together for a time when Fritz was training out there and stuff. Yeah.
How many kids were in that house? Like 18?
Let's see. What did they have? Seven Hart kids, right? No, 9, right? There's 9.
There was I can't remember the exact number.
9,
but
because it was, I think it was
Smith,
9 of them.
Brett, Owen, Keith,
and you got
Diana.
Like 4 Von Erich boys. So let's see. Kevin, Kerry, Mike, David, Chris. Got 5. So put that in the mix.
14.
Yeah. So you got probably about 14 kids in and around. Yeah.
And Owen was probably the youngest.
Yeah. That's why I say Stu Hart worked with everybody, so without Stu, you wouldn't have had the Von Erich thing. There you go.
I think the wrestling death, and I know I'm going to take some heat for this. When Hulk Hogan died, I cried. Like, I had and it wasn't because I cried like for the man and all the bad decisions he made. I cried basically because he had been such a huge part of my childhood all the way up until early adulthood when he started to show his true colors, and it was hard for me to separate that. Like, it was just a really hard blow for me and also I remember I have a lot of good memories about him from my family. My brother and I loved Hulk Hogan. My mom liked Hulk Hogan. My mom would always describe Hulk Hogan as like, like when someone comes into a room and like they have just like a personality or an energy to them, she'd always use Hulk Hogan as the description. Like charisma. That
Mhm.
was like she would always use Hulk Hogan. So I think I was almost mourning my family when Hulk Hogan passed. It was a weird thing for me. Another one that really knocked me off my ass was when the Ultimate Warrior died. That one really
Mhm.
bothered me too. Um, Especially the way he went out. It was like completely full circle. It was so weird. He went back to the WWE, got inducted, looked finally happy for the first time in a really long time, and then had his moment and he was done. It's really weird how stuff like that happens.
It's
Um,
very bizarre.
you were talking
It,
about Eddie Guerrero the other
hmm
night, and
hmm
Eddie was younger than the Warrior when Eddie got saved. Eddie was good with his wife again. He got remarried. He was like a family man again. He like had everything going for him. Said he was. Didn't he say he was happy for the first time? Or
Yeah, he sure did. He said he said I completed this circle. I didn't think I could do it, and I did, and I'm glad with everything. And I could just go in the next X amount of years, and it'd be all good. And the dude died like shortly after he had kind of said that.
yeah, that's weird. That's so
It
weird.
it was it was very bizarre, that it happened that way. It's unfortunately some of these things that happen with I think Eddie's body, the abuse that went into it. I think that's what probably ultimately got him. So you got to be careful what you put inside you.
He had that. He had a bunch of heart issues, or
Yeah.
a bunch of heart. He had a bunch of heart issues. He had a heart issue, and he actually died brushing his teeth. He had a
Yes.
heart attack
Yeah.
brushing his teeth, and like Chavo is the one who found him. He'd like fallen in the bathroom at the hotel or something because they were supposed to go work out that morning.
Yeah.
But he had he had a bunch of heart disease, and it was obviously undiagnosed. But I think probably from using steroids, probably from using narcotics, and probably hereditary, probably too. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy how heart disease runs in the family. Like certain
Yeah.
families get more heart disease than others, and some don't have any.
Yeah.
Um, my family only gets mental health issues, mental health disorders. We're all crazy in my family. Um, you don't want to comment on that?
um well, I don't think you're crazy, Alex. I'll say that. I don't know what my family has. I think diabetes was a big one. Um,
Okay.
like born like getting it early, like from like my sister got it when she was like 9 or 10.
Oh, that's what, type 1 or
Yeah.
type 2? So
Injections, no insulin pumping. So that's what is that type? Is that type 1?
so she okay, so yeah, she was like born with it basically almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And
And
so to
she's
this day, she has a pump system that she has, and then it feeds through her.
well, okay, hold on. So she doesn't have to do shots anymore.
Yeah, she does it through the pump.
No pain then.
She says it's not painful.
And she has how big she has to carry the pump with her everywhere.
Yeah, it's small. It fits you pretty unhidden and doesn't really get in the way from what she broke down.
Can she shower with it and exercise with it and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. My
So
mom got diet. My mom got diabetes like 2 or 3 years before she passed, and then she had hepatitis C that whole time. And my mom never exercised, and my mom used to eat like mayonnaise sandwiches. Like she just like straight white bread mayonnaise sandwiches, dude. Um, she did so many things that were not healthy. Like,
oh wow.
yeah, I mean, I don't remember my mom ever being like, "Oh yeah, like here's some corn on the cob or here's some green beans and like protein, starch." Mom was wild, man. Shake and bake. tuna casserole, hot dogs, hamburgers, mac and cheese with everything, um, fried everything. My dad used to fry everything in Crisco, not like oil. He would make straight up like lard, like Crisco.
Mm,
Sean
mm,
says he's type 2 diabetic. I'm sorry to hear
right.
that, Sean. That's tough, man. Diabetes is no joke. You have to stay on top of that. And if the dialysis thing, do you know anything about kidney dialysis?
I know a lot about it because I had to take my dad to it when he had it. Yeah.
What do they do? They like take the blood out of your kidneys or something?
They circulate, yeah, they circulate the blood, they thin it and mix it out and kind of bounce it around and
How
re
often
it in. Mhm.
how often can you I mean, can you live a long life with that?
Yeah, but it's a tough life. It's a very tough life. Ernie Reyes Jr. had to do it for a while.
How did he get out of it?
He ended up getting a kidney replacement.
Okay.
It took
So,
well, so he did well from that.
um what was his issue? How come he had to get a kidney replacement?
His kidneys was failing.
Any reason why?
Um, I'm not sure what exactly happened with Ernie on why it happened. It could have been drinking issues,
Mhm.
you know. Could have been
Maybe.
something tied into that. Yeah. But he was able to get a kidney. I know people that can kind of get out of control with their drinking. It can do that to you. I've known several people that's happened to.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
dude. Like it's amazing that my 10-year run of drinking that I didn't develop some sort of like kidney issues or liver issues or cirrhosis. I do remember
Yeah.
one of the last days I ever drank. I remember I like my eyesight was like going in and out of focus. Like I was like opening my eyes, but I felt like I was going blind or something. That was scared the hell out of me. It had to have been blood flow related from alcohol
Mhm.
use, right? That's
Yeah,
what.
it definitely does that to people. For my dad wasn't a drinker. I mean, when he was younger, but that was like in the 50s, in the 40s, and then the 50s, because my dad was born 1938. So,
Yeah,
that's when he did that stuff. But um his diabetes had gotten so bad because he had it untreated for so long when he was in the military because they were still figuring out the diabetes thing because it's a long time ago before they had it really established, and that's what did it because he ended up going into a diabetic coma when he was
your
training.
your father did.
Hmm.
What was he
Yeah,
training for?
he was with the Army Rangers, so it was when he was still in the military.
Your dad was an Army Ranger?
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. I learn something new about you every time I talk to you. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
he was training with the Rangers and doing the training course, and he apparently passed out and then went into a diabetic coma and then woke up and they ended up giving him a desk job for a time and then they discharged him. He was drafted for Korea, and
Okay.
so when he was getting loaded to go to Korea, they took him back because the war was over. So he didn't have to do that. He was disappointed because he really wanted to go to the war and get into
Yeah.
that, you know?
Because he'd been training. Yeah, he'd been training for it and like put in all the work for it. That's, you
But
know what though? David Goggins always says there's like
mm,
100 guys, 90 of them are targets. The other five are actual people who bring the fight to them. They're fighting. Then there's like four more that are like fighting their ass off and they're like doing a really good job. And then there's one who is the warrior. Like he is the war.
yeah.
Like your dad wanting to go into battle sounds like that. You don't talk to a
Yeah,
lot of people that want to do that.
yeah,
Put themselves in harm's way.
oh yeah, my dad was all about that because I remember he was telling me when he was in boot camp when they were throwing hand grenades, the guy that they partnered him with, he he threw the pin and kept the grenade.
What?
Yeah.
Who did?
So my
Who did? His
dad,
partner?
yeah. So my dad had to like freaking get him to get loose to throw it out before that 3-second rule went, you know?
Oh my god, that's ridiculous. So
So
how long did it take? Did
yeah.
it explode as soon as they let it go?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why did he do that?
Reaction, he froze. I don't
He
know.
just
He
froze,
reversed
panicked.
it. And he sat there.
That's
And yeah, my dad had to, my dad had to handle that one. But yeah, it was insane. The back on what you said when 9/11 hit and we were headed for the Iraqi conflict. My brother was already in the Marines, so he was already on his way there. My brother did 7 tours in the war. So
how long is the tour? How long does the tour last?
his very long time because he lived out in Afghanistan for a while. So he was in Iraq, but he spent the most time in Afghanistan. He lived out there for a long time. So he was out there, gosh. Oh shoot, I didn't see him. Let's see, my dad died in '06. I graduated high school, so he's there. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're looking at about 5. Okay, 6 years of nonstop combat for him.
And he just kept re-signing up for it.
They kept putting him out there, and some of it he did sign up for, and some of it they put him out there. Yeah,
And
so
what is your brother doing now?
he's still in.
He's still in.
He's a lieutenant colonel. Yeah,
How old is your brother?
just turned 50.
So he's got to be close to retirement.
September they're supposed to retire him, but he's not sure if that's going to
Okay.
happen
Wow.
because he's one of a few people that does what he does. So if they retire him, there's not that many people that do what he does. He might be one of the last ones. I don't know. That
That's
does
why
it to the level that he needs.
that's why you and I can never retire. Who's gonna set it late at night and just talk about whatever they want to? That if we retire,
Yeah.
who's gonna do this? You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
my brother's Captain America for real, buddy. So, you know,
That's crazy.
he was
That's
born to
crazy
do it.
about the grenade.
Oh,
One of the who in the chat, what's his name? Sniffing what? Can you look at that for me, Drew? Sniffing.
yeah, glad they zapped it out of your kidney troubles my whole life as well. He's had kidney troubles, so it sounds like Sniffing Jackal and Shatter Kingdom both had kidney problems from what I'm reading so far.
I saw something from Sniffing Jackal because I'm trying to keep up with the chat on a different app.
Depression, addiction, and
That's
cancer beat the first two. Just gotta quit smoking. I think that's what you were looking for.
okay. Keep it up, Sniffing Jackal. Keep
Yeah,
fighting.
man. Keep
Don't give
doing,
up. Keep doing what you have to do.
keep going the
Proud of you,
distance with
man.
that.
Yeah, don't ever give up. Stay in the fight.
That's a
Um,
lot.
that's a lot of
But yeah,
stuff, dude.
that's a whole lot of stuff, man. Definitely prayers to you and your.
I would say. Oh, and then as far as like other,
Dang it! It kicked me off, and now the volume's low. Ah,
come back,
all
come
right,
back.
all right. Hold on.
Drew's gonna come back. I'm just waiting for him. I got a good question to ask him. All right, you
Okay,
back? We
I'm
good?
back in. Volume is good, but yeah, Alex, that's a peek into the family history. Yeah, Dad drafted for Korea, ran with the Army Rangers, and then my brother is Marine Recon.
What did what did your mom do? What was her career?
My mom was a RN emergency unit registered nurse.
So everyone in your family like did something great.
Oh, you want to hear the whole thing? I'll break it down because there's a group of us. So,
That's insane.
I've got 3 sisters. So let me see. First off, my dad had a PhD. My mom had a master's. Okay. So she has a master's, dad had a PhD. 2 masters, 3 associates, 2 bachelors was
Okay.
my dad. Okay. And then my oldest sister, 1 master's, 1 bachelor's. The other one, I think she's got 2 master's degrees, bachelor. And then my other sister, the one, she's got 2 PhDs now, bachelor's and master's. My brother has 8 degrees because he got bored with grades when he had downtime. Um, yeah. And then my stepbrother David, he's got 2 degrees. Then there's me, the guy that wanted to be Spider-Man. My
Yeah.
dad was so disappointed. So that's how it happened. So
Well,
I had a lot of competition.
that's insane, man.
Um, I had a lot of. So if you can imagine being surrounded by that, and then you're the odd one out, out of everybody. I was the youngest. I'm the youngest one, and everybody had achieved and reached,
Mhm.
everything. And then it was like, then there's you.
I mean, everybody's got different paths. Everybody's got different things going on, and you're
Yeah.
doing a great job. Great father. You have a lot of talent, a lot of stuff you do. Um, yeah, you're my friend. So, hey, man, that's worth it. That's a master's degree right there. You got a master's degree in friendship.
I'll take it. The funny thing about it is when, my brother and I, we get together, we try to get together at least twice a year if we can. And every time he sits with me, he's like, well, I'm proud of what you did. You got to do things that I didn't get a chance to do. And he's like, yeah, I was in the war. I did all this stuff and I got you know, and ran with teams and all that good stuff. But he's like, you have a son. I don't have a son. You do a good job as a parent. I've watched you kind of grow, mature, and do the things. And so he's like, he was really proud of that. So
Hmm.
he was really proud of what I did. But I'm looking at you like, yeah, Captain America. You
Yeah,
went out there
yeah.
and did your thing. Because my brother worked with every special forces, special operations group that there is.
Did
Too many
your
times.
did your brother
Hmm.
have anything to do with the Osama bin Laden stuff?
Don't know.
Maybe, maybe.
Don't know. You know.
Um,
But he's
it-
he's worked with everybody you can think of at least 4, 5, 6 times a piece, including from the international level. So SAS, Spetsnaz, he's worked with all of them on
that's cool.
missions.
What does your brother know? Does your brother know how to like self defense? Like, what is he taught? What is he able to do?
Mhm. A lot.
A lot.
He's able to do a lot. I can kick harder than him, but he's able to do a lot because he's been in some pretty crazy situations. He
Yeah.
told me he hadn't told me everything, but he's told me some things about some of the missions he was on, and it will definitely widen your eyes, like the stuff he had to do
Oh, I'm
to get
sure.
out of it,
I'm sure.
you know. And none of it was on a computer, none of it was behind a tank, all of it was all on the ground, weapons in hands, ammunition going out, and down to knives and whatever you got to do to get out. That was my brother. Still is him.
So, like James
Still.
Bond, slappers and knives, all the way
What he
down to
gets
whatever he had to
into.
do.
So he trains the next generation of the up and coming guys. So there's not a lot of guys of the old generation that know the old school ways, the best ways on how to train people for combat left. So he's one of the few.
That's cool, man. You're lucky to have him in your life. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's very serious, very quiet. His demeanor is very much like that. So we're very different.
Yeah.
Great guy, great heart, good all the way down, but he's very, very, very combat oriented. Like I'm kind of like, what are you gonna do after this?
Yeah.
He's
What
already
you?
got something that he
Yeah.
does, but which is cool. But I'm just like, but this is a big part of who you are,
Hmm.
you know. And the other side of him is he's big into history and archaeology. So when he would go to all these different countries, because he's been to every country at least 3 to 4 times,
Every
you know.
country?
Yeah.
Your brother is basically Major Payne.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drew, killing is my business, and business is good.
Yeah, he's like he's part Indiana Jones because Indiana Jones had a big influence over him because he loved Indiana Jones. So he likes traveling to all the places that Indiana Jones went to. And so he went looking for the Ark of the Covenant. He went looking for the history of the Kali for Temple of Doom. And I guess he's working on the Holy Grail now. So, and he broke down to me like what he had discovered so far about the Ark of the Covenant, like where they say that it is, and the whole history and lore behind what it is, what it's about, what it means to the people and the culture. Like it was the whole thing, man. It was crazy.
So your brother probably knows a lot of intel that most people don't know about.
I'd venture to say that, yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff that he knows about the average American citizens have no clue.
No, he's involved in all that. Yeah, he can't say much about any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
But he loves going. His favorite thing to do is to be in a country that is like rural and lost civilizations, and he loves going out in the middle of nowhere trying to find those civilizations or any historical fact that'll point him in that direction. So he had a habit of getting lost and not taking his radio or his radio going out of battery because he would just go around looking for that. And they'd be like, dang, dude, stop going out there. He's like, but
Mhm.
that's what he loved to do. If my brother could, he would live in some far out country and just be all right there if he could.
Well, maybe he can do it in the future if he retires.
Yeah, you can eat. But the place he really wants to live, I'm like, is Afghanistan.
Why?
He loves it out there.
What?
He loves Afghanistan. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's.
He
I mean,
loves he loves Afghanistan. He loves the people. They accepted him in his culture, in their culture, actually.
that's cool. I mean, listen, I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying what I've heard, but that's cool.
Well, the problem was with the Taliban and stuff, he wasn't exactly a favorite. So I said that'd be crazy for you to live out there because
Yeah.
he was direct how would I put it? He had a bounty on his head.
Yeah,
I'll
you'd be
put
a
it like
target.
that.
You'd be a target.
Yes. So I was like, why would you want to go play it back to a place where you had a bounty on your head? He's like, oh. I was like, that just sounds like not a good idea. But he loves Afghanistan. He loves the people. He loves the culture. He's like really into Afghanistan. So he's into that, man. Yeah, that's my older brother. He's funny.
Um. Well, shit, man. I don't know how we really top that. Is there anything else you
Oh,
want to talk about before we wind it
I,
down?
I'm wide awake, guys. I've actually slept for a while, so I'm all good to go. So we can get into throw some stuff at me, Alex. What do you want to know?
I'm.
What do you want to know?
You can ask me stuff, man. Ask. What do you want to know? Give me something.
Okay, I will give you something.
Give me
Here we
something.
go.
Let me roll.
Okay. Uh, what's Sean talking about?
I don't know. I can't see the.
Alex and Drew, would you possibly stop by my year anniversary stream talking wrestling on September 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? I don't know.
If
What
we
do you
like,
think, Alex? He sounds like he wants us to try to stop by.
if I'm
He's
not working, that's not a problem.
okay.
Just as
Well,
long
we'll
as
see.
just as long as Sean doesn't throw me on there with that guy who got mad at me that last time we were streaming. Do you remember that?
Oh, I think that was Moises, right?
I think so. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he started like getting kind of like aggressive with me a little bit.
I think that was Moises because I was there and I'm trying to remember. I was like, yeah, I think that was Moises.
Yeah.
So I'll say Alex will be there if you just have him with the right people.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
the answer.
I don't think you have Moises there, but you can't have, the usual suspects, Sean. You cannot have them there. That's the rule. I will not allow Alex to go deal with that craziness. So don't bring the crazy people on there. And you know what I'm talking about. So leave them at home. If you want Alex to come on your show and it to be good, then you got to bring either Alex and you or really level-headed people that intentions are good.
I still have to try to get a car. What does that say? Can't mine went out. It might be a faceless stream and stream to only me. To try to get a.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it might be a blank screen with the talking or something like that.
Okay.
But even if it's a blank screen with talking, Sean, make sure that you bring the right people. I cannot stress that enough. Okay.
Reality stream. No camera.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
camming up.
But bring only level-headed people. Okay. Like just no. We've already had enough explosions with the wrong people. So
With the other Alex.
yes, that's where I'm going. His group of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, please do not bring these people there.
I've never had an interaction with him. I've never spoken to him. I've never written him. I've never had any interactions with that guy ever.
Don't start. That's what I would say. Don't even start because I mean it's insane over there.
Wait a minute. Did you know that Ric Flair was illegally put up for adoption? His parents were told he died. In reality, one of the nurses at the hospital sold him to a couple. What?
Yeah, I know he was adopted by. I knew he was adopted by some other people.
What? He was. I know his dad was a doctor too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, wait a minute. I think that Ric Flair, having been adopted, and like, if this story is true, Johnny, would answer a lot of questions about the way he acts now. Because I think trauma and stuff like that, finding out something like that later on, can really affect people in a wild, weird way. What? How the hell? How did the nurse? Isn't that human trafficking?
Well, back in the day, there were, loopholes and certain things may not have been established with that.
Like, adopt somebody's baby out that's not even up for adoption? How the hell does that work?
Back then, there were loopholes, buddy.
That's
People could do things.
That's
You
ridiculous.
know, you're talking about so Ric Flair's how? Okay, so you're talking about Jim Crow days. You're going back, X amount of years.
Yeah.
And at those times, like all sorts of things were going on. I mean, that you have to look at let's take this as an example. Bob Kane, Bob Kane, right?
Created Batman.
Okay, cool. All right. So Bob Kane, there's a dispute between Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Okay.
Okay.
Bill Finger technically was the guy that created Batman. All right, that's already been proven. But at that time in the 30s, you get away with stuff because they couldn't exactly identify. So what he did was to squeeze out that. Bob Kane went and sketched a picture and said, I drew this when I was in summer camp in junior high school. And it proves that I created Batman back then when I was a kid. Well, they dated this picture in the Batman and Bill documentary, and it dated 1939.
Okay.
The exact year Batman was created. It was not created when he was in summer camp in junior high.
Yeah.
But that's what he sold to get his little sign off on DC Comics saying he was the creator. So for all those years, he made sure he got a good percentage too. He was taking all that money and not giving any of it to Bill Finger. And they actually found tape recordings of him saying, yeah, I didn't cut him in on things. And you see.
Wait, so Bob Kane was a dirtbag then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew he was.
I've heard that Stan Lee was like kind of shady too. Like he didn't create a lot of the characters he said he did.
Okay. I know the story about that. And did I tell you this? I have a Stan Lee story too.
I
So
would
I'll
like
tell
to.
you about Stan, and I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, I'd like to hear
So
that.
here's the thing about Stan Lieberman or Stan Lee. Stan, a lot of people thought Stan could draw for X amount of years. Stan's never drawn a character and he cannot draw. Let's get that cleared up.
Okay.
The other thing is he was the face of Marvel, as in publicity, dealing with people. His job that he had before that was he was one of the top editors at Marvel. Okay, so he edited a lot of people's work. He was known for writing to a point. Before that, he was the coffee kid, so he got people's coffee.
Okay.
So to say all that to say, Stan, he could write some stories, but he would write for a comic for only so many issues, and then he would pass it over. That was his habit.
Okay.
He'd pass it over to somebody else. Creation wise, he did help create some things as far as characters and different ideas. Okay. But he's not as involved as people would think. Okay. Because the way Stan did it was Stan made it sound like he did everything. He created everything. But really, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Jim Steranko,
I've heard all these names.
Joe Simon, John Romita Sr. Let me see who else would I put in that group. Jim Starlin, Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Dave Cochran, Len Wein, Anna Nocenti, Walter and Louise Simonson, Mobius. Those were really the driving forces, to name a few. Those were really the driving forces of Marvel that really built, of course, I'll say Jack Kirby again. Jack Kirby is known as the father of modern comics for a reason.
Yeah.
Jack not only just drew, but he created. He created all the time. Stan didn't create as much as Jack did. Okay. And at the end of Jack Kirby's life in the 90s, Jack was pretty much running penniless from most of that stuff because Stan made sure that he got taken care of, but he didn't make sure that Jack got taken care of a lot of ways.
Oh, what a nice guy.
They're still fighting in Congress right now with the rights that that the Kirby family should have gotten. That was the whole deal. And not just him. Okay, this is how comic books ran back in the days, boys and girls. A lot of times why this happened was because they would outsource to and contract people to come in and do artwork and stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they would take their creations for their company for themselves. So in this case, Marvel would take, let's say the Hulk. Take the Hulk, cut out the middleman, make all the money, and leave the middleman on the side. Okay? And that was a common practice. Like when Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in 38 created Superman Action Comics issue 1, right? They gave them, what did they give them? Like $1,800, $2,000 a piece, something like that
for Superman.
Yeah. And then it became huge, right? But that was the deal. The deal was you were only supposed to get that much and you sold us your character, so you couldn't interfere. So they made all this money. That's what happened back then. So Bill Finger, Jerry Robinson, who co-wrote the Joker with Bill Finger, they all got ripped off. Bob Kane created Batman, Robin, Gotham City, Commissioner Gordon, you name the list, the Batmobile, he created just about everything that there is. Okay? And he got ripped off and died penniless. He didn't get justice till a couple of years back when documentary came out.
Not Bob Kane. You said Bob Kane.
Oh, Bill Finger.
Okay, sorry.
So Bill Finger did not get justice until that documentary was done several years back. Until a fan found all those recordings and all the proof, and then found Bill Finger's granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then was able to prove and put things together. Then DC stepped in, and then they were able to kind of work things. But had the fan not done that, And a lot of people didn't even know Bill Finger even existed.
I'd never heard of him until tonight.
See, I'll tell you how I knew. Before, little bit before the '89 Batman movie came out, my mom bought me this videotape called Holy Batmania. Okay,
Oh, I'm familiar with that because Adam West is on it, right? I
he
think it's
is
on
on it.
YouTube. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So Holy Batmania came out, and my mom got it for me. And when you watch it, it talks about Bill Finger. It is the rarest thing because nothing else pointed to Bill Finger, but that video did. And it showed him sketching. And it said Bill Finger. So I knew Bill Finger had worked on Batman for years. So when the talk was going on, I said, wow, that makes sense because that sketch he made was really cool because Bob Kane drew very kind of cartoony, big smiles and stuff.
Yeah.
And the sketch Bill Finger was working on was very detailed, kind of dark. So it made sense. I think that's the guy that did Batman, and then Jerry Robinson was working with him. Those three were working together, but Bob was really taking them and taking and stealing their ideas. That's what would happen. So this was a common practice that comic book companies did. So, even the creator of Howard the Duck, he was on his deathbed practically trying to get some money from his creation of Howard the Duck to help pay his medical bills as he was dying in the hospital. It's a true story. So this is what happened with Marvel. So Stan was known for making money for himself, but not bringing in the guys that created it the right way.
But
And
why?
that is what.
Why would Stan say he always took credit for like creating the Fantastic Four, the Incredible Hulk, like Spider-Man? Did he create all those, or
He had a part in it, but it wasn't all him. So
Okay.
he came up with some ideas, some stories, but like I was saying, he only stayed with the comics so long writing them because really Steve Ditko was the guy that really took Spider-Man. He's the guy that really wrote and figured out what Peter Parker was really, really like. To a higher level than what Stan did. Stan came in and did some basic things, kind of left some outlines for it, but Steve Ditko was the one that really took it, and kind of ran with the book. He had a hand in writing the Fantastic Four in '61. But again, he wrote it, and it was probably the book he stayed the longest with because it was his first book, with that kind of idea. And so he developed some things, but Jack was really instrumental in doing a lot more things with the Fantastic Four. And that was kind of the thing about it. And I know he's like, well, we had the X-Men. The X-Men didn't become popular until 1975.
yeah,
Okay.
giant size X-Men, or
Yeah, that's when it happened.
yeah,
And he had nothing to do with that. Because remember, X-Men came out in 1963. They didn't really sell. That's when it was the original 5 X-Men. And it was a young Chris Claremont came on board when he got hired on at Marvel, and they laid titles down for him and said, which book do you want to work on? He said, give me the X-Men. And that's how we got Giant Size X-Men. He took it, revamped the whole thing.
Yeah.
He sat down with John Byrne, Dave Cockrum, Len Wein. Wolverine had appeared in Hulk 181 as a one-off character. He was just some random crazy looking character. And he asked Lynn, could he take that character and bring him to the X-Men and kind of, tell a story where he's a mutant, because they weren't sure when they drew the character, they had said that the claws were part of his gloves. Okay.
Not part of his body.
Right. So he said, hey, it would be cool if they came out of his hands.
Yeah.
I said, that sounds gross. And it's like, yeah, but he's a mutant. We're gonna get into the whole mutant thing with these characters. And that's when he came up. He was sitting there saying, we'll have a character from Germany. We'll have one from Russia. We'll have one from Africa. And that's how you ended up with Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm.
Yeah.
That's how that happened. So it was those guys that really brought that to light. Stan didn't have a part in that one. The only thing he had a part in was he kind of hired Chris Claremont to a point. That was about it. You had guys like Jim Shooter. I think Jim Shooter got hired on Marvel. Wasn't he 15 at the time? I think he was 15 at the time.
Damn.
And Martin Goodman had to go in and go, yeah, let me talk to your mom. And he got hired on Marvel
Like
underage.
when X-Men was trying to recruit Jubilee and they had to talk to her
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
Professor
They
X
went
like
in.
showed up at Jubilee's house. Very
So
similar.
it's how it was. So I say all that to say there was a lot of people that made Marvel great and made Stan stand out. He didn't do it all by himself. You know, there was a lot of army builders with him
Mhm.
that helped him build a lot of stuff. He just didn't cut them in to a lot of the money. You know, he didn't cut them into a lot of the stuff that was going on. And that's where things got kind of, because he really just kind of looked out for himself instead of like, this is a group family team effort. Everybody rises. When I rise, they rise because they help me, I help them. He didn't have that attitude. You know, Stan was just about himself. So that's Stan Lee in a nutshell about
When
him.
Okay, so when you met Stan, what was the impression that you got?
It was very, very, when I met Stan, it was very brief, actually. So I met Stan. Here's what happened. I was at Silicon Valley Comic Con. I believe it was the first one. And it was in Northern Cal, San Jose area, Bay Area. And I went through, they cleared my pass. I had an industry pass because you guys know I worked in special effects. So my movie credentials got me in conventions in California for free, pretty much all the time. So I walked through, they scanned it, and as soon as I hit the floor, there's a golf cart that barely misses me by this much. Okay,
Okay.
someone's right there. And who's in the golf cart but Stan Lee?
Okay. Is he driving or
So
is he being driven?
he's being driven because when he would get tired, they would bring a golf cart, they'd put him in the golf cart and drive him back to his hotel. And then you'd see a golf cart speeding around conventions. See, guys, in SoCal, Stan Lee was easy to find. He did every northern, southern, mid-level California convention there pretty much was. He did mostly all of them.
Did
He was
he
at all of them.
did he do them because he wanted to do them? Because I saw a documentary out where they were like abusing him. His handlers were like abusing him, making him do this
I
shit.
I think it started. He loved the fans and the people, so he started just conventions when he was younger. But I think as he got older, maybe not so much.
Hmm.
To a level. I mean, he was still, he's still down. He liked doing it, but to how much and how many levels and how many conventions during a year, I'm not sure. I'm sure he wanted to do certain ones, but not all of them. But I'm a living testament to tell you guys, he was at everything. I mean, everything. So he had to be tired, especially with his age, because I lived in, I was from I'm from Southern California. And then I was in Central, which is Middle California, and I also lived in Northern California. And I
Yeah.
went to conventions all over, everywhere in California. And he was at every convention I was at. Like he was there. And so he had to be tired. And of course, San Diego, the biggest one in the world, he doesn't want to miss that one.
Sure.
But his lines were huge, He was there. I didn't get a chance, like it was very quick, my interaction with him, because he almost hit me with the golf cart.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there and I look up and he's like, he looks at me and he's just like, "Oh, Excelsior, hey," like that. And I'm just like, "Oh, wow, Stan Lee." And the driver and I just kind of just moved out of the way and let them go. What I should have done was I should have fallen on the front of the car,
Yeah.
and rolled over it. So then he had to get out and check on me. And then he had to take a picture with me.
Yeah.
He hit me with the car.
You
That's
could
what
have
I
jumped.
should have done.
You should have jumped on his windshield just like the lady in
I
Happy
should have.
Gilmore. Get me out of here. Here, lady, eat this. Just take that. Leave us alone. Do you know what I'm talking? Have you seen Happy
Oh
Gilmore?
yeah, yeah. I know exactly what
He
you're
dumps
talking
the
about.
burger and the fries or onion rings on her, and he turns the windshield wipers on her. That's what you should have
That's some
done,
wild
man.
stuff. I should have done that.
You blew
I
it.
should have done that. I tried to meet all the classic guys when they were still alive. To be honest, I only got to one. And it was on a fluke because I was looking for another one and I ended up getting one. I was at San Diego Comic Con back in 14.
Yeah.
And it was a day we weren't promoting with the movie, which was Sunday, which was the last day. And I was looking for Jim Steranko. For those of you that
Okay.
don't know who Jim Steranko is, Jim Steranko was the guy that brought back Nick Fury, the guy that made him popular. Not the Samuel Jackson Nick Fury, but the original Nick Fury, the guy that made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the guy that Mr. Miracle is designed after. Jim Steranko, the man himself, the legendary comic book artist, escape artist, stunt car driver, martial artist, magician, and escape artist, and a bunch of other things, and a surf rock guitar player.
Bad
Great guy.
man. Bad
He
man.
is. So I went looking for him, and I missed him earlier that day. And how I found out was I was over at Neil Adams' booth, who is another legendary comic book artist who is the guy that brought back Green Arrow, gave him the goatee, really boosted him up. He's also the guy that created John Stewart Green Lantern. Did a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I go to ask his people, and Neil comes over and he goes, "Hey, kid, he was here. You missed him hours ago. He left a long time ago. He was by the Vanguard booth." And I was like, "What?" And I said, "Thank you, Mr. Adams. I really appreciate it." He's all, "Oh, you know who I am?" I said, "I know exactly who you are. And all your contributions to the comic book world. You made the physical anatomy of superheroes going forward from the 1950s, 60s era to giving them more of a defined athletic kind of look." And he was like, "That is true." And he's like, "So what are you going to do for me now that I did something for you?" And I said, "I'm going to come over and get an autograph." And he said, "That's right." And so I went over, and he's also the guy. Do you know a lot about DC Comics?
I know a little bit. I'm not
Okay.
I'm more Marvel, but I do know
So
DC.
you know about Green Arrow's sidekick, Speedy?
Yeah, he's the one who Speedy was the one who got a drug addiction,
That's
right?
what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah,
Hold on 1 second. Don't move.
he was messing with the H. Yeah, do you think they called him Speedy because he was taking speed? They're like, "Oh, there's Speedy. His secret power is the amazing ability to use smack. The amazing superhuman ability to score crack." Speedy. Hey, who's still out here tonight? It's 11:11. Make a wish. I'm making a wish right now. All right, it's gonna happen. 11:11. You guys can still make a wish. Make a wish. Drew, did you
Okay.
did you hear what I said? Speedy, the amazing superhuman ability to score crack.
Yes, I did. He was named Speedy before this, but
Okay.
they decided to sacrifice him to be the comic book poster child for drug addiction. He was the first one, and Neil Adams was the guy that did all that. So there you go. He
Damn.
signed it to me. It says to Drew right there. Neil Adams. So he's passed away now, but I have one of his prints, and that was the one I wanted. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want the Speedy cover." He said, "Ah, yeah, I'll get that one to you." So
How
he was cool.
how old was he when he passed away? Because I saw him on Comic Book Men, the TV show.
Oh boy.
He didn't look
How
that
old was he?
old.
No, I mean, with everything he did, my guess was like probably late 60s at the time, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't look that old. He looked pretty healthy too, to be honest with you.
He had a cool head of hair too. He had like this cool kind of spiky, really nicely done. It was cool looking.
Like a nice pelt on his head.
Yeah, he had a nice flow. Him and Jim Steranko both. Jim Steranko's got like this smooth looking pompadour, with aviators on. He looks like Nick Fury, like classic Nick Fury.
I can picture Nick Fury in my head right now, dude. Gray in his like right here, almost like Mr. Fantastic. Cigar,
Yeah.
gruff look, brown hair, pretty fit. Um, a lot of people were pissed off that they race swapped Nick Fury in the Avengers movies, but I mean, I didn't really. What was your thoughts on that? Did you care or?
Okay. I was not too thrilled about it because it's based on Jim Steranko. And I felt like when they did that, that kind of erased that.
They
You
took
know?
away, yeah, they took away
Yeah.
the what it was based off of.
I mean, Samuel Jackson, he's always cool in what he does. He made it work for what he could. So I'm like, all right, cool. But um, I don't. This is what I'll say too. The direction of the movies on how they handle Shield, to me, they don't really handle Shield according. I should say, let me change it. Matching to the comic books, like the way Shield's involved in what they do, how their
Mhm.
agents work. They don't really, in my opinion, do a good enough job with it yet. So that was missing because, like, Nick Fury, like, especially early on, like, I mean, he's like out on missions, he's doing all kinds of stuff, very heavily involved. You know, I felt that that really needed to be established with Nick Fury, and the movies didn't exactly touch on it in a big way. I was okay with it at first. Like I was like, it's not what I would want, but it's all right. Once, unfortunately, I saw Captain Marvel, and then I saw what they were doing with him from there on out. Then I was checked out because then it wasn't cool because it was okay. What happened to Nick Fury's eye, right?
Yeah.
And then when they did the Captain Marvel movie, they said the cat damaged his eye. So it
Yeah.
went from a battle scar
To a
to the
cat.
cat damaging his eye. And now he's playing with the cat and now he's all goofy. And I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not Nick Fury. That's
um
not Nick Fury.
this is kind of off topic but on topic. I think one of my favorite scenes, because the Nick Fury scene where he's like in the car, like I can't remember what movie it's from, but he's like in the car and he's being attacked and he's like trying to escape. Reminded me of when Captain America, I think it's the Winter Soldier, is he's in the elevator and he's surrounded by Hydra, and then he's like
Uh-huh.
basically, and he says like, hey, this is your last like this is your opportunity to get off right now if you don't want to do this. And he just ends up like he's the one who's supposed to be getting attacked, but they don't realize who they're in there with. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna just kick the shit out of them in that elevator. It's like the movie Watchmen. Have you ever seen Watchmen?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I read
Like
the comic years ago.
when Rorschach is in prison and all these people keep trying to attack him, and he's like, "You don't understand. You think I'm locked in here with you. You're
You're
locked in
locked
here
in here
with
with me?
you're locked in
Yeah.
here with me. Like you don't understand what you're doing." Yeah, and he's
Yeah,
just
Rorschach
kicking.
was crazy.
He was such a good performance by him, and then just to have one of the worst performances ever is Freddy Krueger, all within the same like 2 year stretch, maybe 2 or 3 years. And he
I
was
still
like,
think
"Oh, go ahead."
no, you finish.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, yeah. So he did that. So he did the Freddy thing was terrible. Did the Rorschach thing was amazing, and I hadn't seen anything with him movie wise since Bad News Bears or that movie Breaking Away, where they're like riding 10 speeds. It was like in the early '80s. Had like him and like the guy from Home Alone, Daniel Stern, and then I think like Dennis Quaid. I can't really remember. Do you even remember that movie Breaking Away?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
Sounds familiar. What did I? Oh, I saw him in that horrible RoboCop reboot. He was in that.
What character was he in that movie?
I think he was the guy that trained RoboCop. Like they had a guy that was training him. I think he was him.
Why would RoboCop need to be trained? He's already a cop.
They
He's
wanted
dead.
him to have some tactical training, and he ran around. And that's what I remember. I tried to erase most of that movie, but I remember it was him, Gary Oldman, Michael Keaton, and what's his name that played RoboCop? Joe Kinnaman.
That movie,
And
what
Samuel Jackson was in it too.
in the RoboCop remake?
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I got to pull up the trailer real quick. I'm going to pull up the
It was,
RoboCop remake trailer. Give me like
it's
2 seconds.
It was awful.
I didn't. I don't think I saw it.
You don't want to
RoboCop.
see it.
RoboCop. What the hell year was that? 2015
What
or
was it?
something?
17, 18, maybe somewhere around
Uh,
there.
14. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch it and react to it real quick, and you just be right next to me here. Hold on, let me find it.
All right.
Okay, RoboCop. Okay, I can buy the movie, which I don't want to do. RoboCop. What have you done to me? Scene 1 of 10. Gotta find this trailer. Dude, it's like so unpopular. You can't even find. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Samuel L. Jackson. You're right. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm pulling open the RoboCop 2014 trailer right after this roofing commercial on YouTube here. Drew's biceps looking pretty pumped up right now, by the way, guys. Look
What?
at
It
that
is?
bicep. Yeah, look at Drew's bicep. All
Oh,
right,
thank
here
you.
we here here we go. Okay, city's like on fire. Crime is out of control. Alex Murphy says there's an officer down. Samuel L. Jackson, I guess, is the one who's in charge of the program. Michael Keaton's in this too.
Yeah. That's what I was telling you. Michael Keaton, Gary Oldman.
What?
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Okay, so Alex Murphy dies from a car bomb.
Yes.
Is that how he died in the first movie? He died by getting
No.
shot. He got shot to like
He got
brutally
shot to death.
shot. Yeah,
Yeah. It was real bad.
by Red Foreman. He's all die, RoboCop, you dumbass.
Yeah. Kirkwood Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, Kirkwood Smith, you dumbass.
And Ray Weiss. You know who Ray Weiss is, right?
No, which one is he? Which one is he?
Ray Weiss was he was in Twin Peaks. He was Leland in Twin Peaks, the father of the girl that was murdered.
Okay.
He's done all kinds of movies.
Okay, there's like multiple RoboCops they make here in this movie, and then the color of the outfit is black instead of silver.
He shows up in the silver in one or two parts, if I remember right. Trying to
Okay.
erase my memory.
Um. Okay, yeah, there's our guy. There's Jackie Earl Haley. I saw him for about 5 seconds.
Yep. Yeah, he's in it.
I wonder how this movie did at the box office. I wonder, like,
Terrible.
what is that called? The 829.
Oh, the Ed 209?
Yeah. That's in this movie too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there.
Man, that scene where the toxic waste scene in RoboCop, is that one of the most
Oh, with
brutal? Is that like one of the most brutal scenes ever?
yeah, gosh, who's the actor? It was him.
Looking for me? I'm watching that scene right now.
Oh wow.
I'm watching from the 1987 RoboCop. So Kurtwood Smith is like hitting the bread truck, and they're about ready to. RoboCop just killed like 3 guys from the top of that stairwell. They got some heavy firepower in the like Kurtwood Smith's group. They all
Yeah,
have
the
heavy
Cobra assault
artillery.
cannons. Yeah, the Cobra assault cannons.
Jeez, you
Same
couldn't
here.
just fire that without bracing yourself, could you?
You'd have to really brace yourself. Yeah, that's a 50 caliber.
Yeah, he's just running around holding it like it's a deer rifle. Okay, there's our boy. Toxic waste, labeled toxic waste. Did you see? It's labeled toxic waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right when he runs into it, you see the label on there.
Why would it be kept there? Where are they at?
They're at an old steel mill.
Oh man, he is not having a good day. He is like morphing.
Yeah, a mill.
That would be like one of the worst. ways to go ever. That's horrible, man.
Melting.
This is brutal.
Ray Weiss is the guy that gets grabbed by him. That's who I meant to tell you. He gets grabbed by him when he's
Okay.
running around. He grabs on. He's like, help me, and he's like, ah.
Yeah, I'm not helping you. Yeah, the first RoboCop, man, this movie was so graphic and different. I cannot believe that it took off. Yeah, there's Ray Wise.
Yeah.
I can't believe it took off as like a kids thing, like with
Yeah.
toys and video
Well, they did that
games. And
cartoon show. Marvel got the rights for the comic books, and they did the cartoon show, and that's what kicked off the toys. Because I
man,
remember when
I haven't thought of the RoboCop cartoon since it came out. I bet. Let's try to find that.
I just watched it with Luke about a week or two ago.
That is wild to me. Okay, RoboCop cartoon intro, 1988. Let's take a look at this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Luke wishes he was in the stream right now. RoboCop, what?
Does. He does.
Okay, Detroit, the near future. Okay, I remember this. Wow, they even have a Kurtwood Smith looking guy in the cartoon. So is RoboCop technically, is he alive?
I mean, yeah, to a point, you could say so.
Forever?
His brain's working.
Just forever? Indefinite?
Pretty much. He runs off batteries and electronics, as long as you keep those good.
How does that work with his spirit? Like, what does God think about that?
I don't know. His spirit, he's still the man in the machine. Somehow they reactivated him, so
I didn't. That's really interesting, man. I totally forgot about it. Did you have any of the RoboCop toys?
I did. I had most of them. Yeah.
Did you remember the cartoon Cops?
Yes. Yes.
That was
I had toys for them too.
That was a weird one.
I had Highway. I had Long Arm. I had Bulletproof. I had Hardtop. I had, gosh, who was it? Yes. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, like in terms of OCD, just well, OCD, but I think in general too that it loves a little spillover as well. Yes. I mean, there was a big
Turbo Two-Tone, I think I had.
Yes, what if it's the best question ever? It's amazing, but with like the way it uses it, it's just what if you're the worst here?
Yeah, let me see. Johnny Utah said there's a RoboCop. Yeah, I watched the RoboCop TV show. I saw every episode of the TV show.
Yeah, there's definitely a RoboCop TV show. I think we talked about that the other night.
I think we did. Yeah, Casper Van Dien played Johnny. He played Johnny Cage. Yeah, in Mortal Kombat Legacy. I did see that. When I met Casper, he had some of the Johnny Cage pictures to sign if you wanted one.
Is Casper Van Dien like? What is his situation now? Is he still acting, or is he just kind of like retired and doing Comic Cons, or?
Okay, so Casper, he takes roles. He does he's more on the independent circuit. Lately, I just don't think Hollywood brought him in all the way. So he's been on the independent circuit for a while. He does a lot of conventions. His daughter is acting now. And so she's done some stuff. I don't know if you knew that his daughter was acting.
I didn't know that.
She was. Did you see the Stranger Things season where they brought in Eddie Munson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember Chrissy, the cheerleader?
Is that his daughter?
That's his daughter.
Chrissy, are you okay? Are you okay, Chrissy?
Yeah, that's his daughter. So she started to do that, and So yeah, I mean Casper. By the way, guys, Casper, if you've never met him, he is the coolest guy. He is super, super, super down to earth, good dude.
Um,
Such a good dude. Yeah, he's a lot of fun too. He's funny. He's a real funny guy.
Drew, do you have any things you want to talk to me about before we wrap it up? Is there anything
Oh,
you
we're
wanted to
already
ask me
wrapping
about?
up.
Well, if
Yeah,
only if you want to.
of course, of course, of course. Let's see, Alex. What should I ask you? Oh, where did you meet Nicole? Oh, there's a question.
Oh, that's not. It's not as good as you think. Plenty of fish. Plenty of fish. The dating,
Oh, no
the
way.
dating site. Yeah,
No way. You better have plenty of fish. That's, oh my
I
gosh.
did. 15 years ago, I had just moved up to, gosh, Monmouth, which is like a really small town in Oregon. It's like where Western Oregon University is, to live with a friend, and I was trying to get sober and get away from my hometown. Things were like really going south. I started kind of getting my life together a little bit, and then I opened a dating app, and then she came across it, man. And then I met her when she showed up to the house I was living at with Sophie, our first dog. So she showed
Mhm.
up in this little red car, this little old car with Sophie, and that's how I met them. And then they were like my whole life, you know, after that. But it's crazy how that kind of works. It's funny. Life's weird. Life could be weird, man.
That's true.
It is weird. Yeah, and then prior to that, I had dated lots of girls, and I had messed up many relationships because I so like into whatever I wanted to do. Like just always put myself first, which is like probably the worst characteristic you could ever have in a relationship. But yeah, I was the king of that. It was good. She changed my life. She changed my life for the better in a lot of ways. She's definitely my partner forever. She's unconditional. Like no matter what I do, I could do anything and she'd still love me. It's like that's not you don't find that very often.
That's true.
It's no, it doesn't exist, dude.
It's true.
I'm extremely lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else you got for me? You got any opinions you want to ask me about? What do you got?
Okay. Who's your favorite X-Men?
Oh, that's when I was a kid growing up, it was I always liked I think Colossus was my favorite X-Men growing up.
Good choice.
My favorite design of a character being like when I was like a young kid was probably Cyclops. I just always especially that 92 version, that blue and that yellow really caught my eye, but I would say that I would say Gambit or Wolverine. Those are like the two, I think, for sure. Yeah, I think those are the two for sure. And I always viewed the top three X-Men in my head was always Wolverine, Colossus, Gambit. Those were like my three dudes.
Good
Um,
choice. Good
yeah,
choice. Gambit's my favorite, so yeah.
Gambit's
He's my favorite.
he's a bad man. Can you elaborate on his like actual like what's the tip top of his powers? Like where's Gambit from?
Okay. So he's from New Orleans, Louisiana,
Okay.
you know. So Remy Aunt LeBeau um came from Louisiana, mutant powers. So people just think that it's like, like the explosive ability where he can kinetically charge any inanimate object and make it
Yes.
explode.
Yes.
Um, but he also has agility. He has a small healing factor. He heals. It's not like Wolverine's, but he heals quicker than normal humans. Um, he also has a way of persuasion. Like when he talks, he can kind of persuade you a little easier with his abilities too.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So, like, that's why with his agility, you could see him sometimes kind of walk on walls, backflip, kind of weird, with kicks and everything because his agility goes a certain way. Because I remember, and then his healing factor, I remember, I think it was an Extinction Agenda. Yeah, it was. He purposely, the X-Men had gotten captured, and he purposely got stabbed in the leg so he could keep the knives because they shot off shards, and he
Yeah,
was able to heal, and so it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt as bad, so he was able to get the other X-Men free off taking the blades out of his leg, so he
because
could
he
do
had a
stuff like
weapon
that.
to because he had a weapon to get him
Mhm.
out with.
Yeah.
What's so Wolverine's
Hmm.
obviously has like the ultimate healing factor.
Hmm.
He's got his bones like are the reason he has claws, and then
Well,
adamantium. His body's
well,
coated in adamantium, right?
that's true. Now, the claws thing, you are correct. And I know people are going to go, what about the bone claws? Let me correct everybody. That didn't happen, and that was not known until Fatal Attractions Wolverine number 75 hologram cover that he had bone claws, because that's when Magneto actually took it out of his body. Once his body had healed, not completely, it was still jacked up, but it was better than what it was. That's the first time we see bone claws. And
Okay.
before that, he didn't even know that existed. Like, we all were told that that was a mechanism put inside of him. Okay. For years. Then they decided that they were there before and they were just coated by the adamantium. So that was something that was added on later on in the 90s, to be honest.
Um. So when Wolverine is like in the, I think it's X2 or X3, I can't remember which one, where he's basically like approaching Jean Grey as Phoenix, like, and he's like being disintegrated and he's healing. Is that realistic for his healing ability?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen him do stuff like that. And it
Dude.
also depends on who's writing the story, because there's stories where the healing factor, it works differently. When he first started, it worked differently. They increased it to what he could do, and depending who is writing and drawing it, it varies. It can.
How did does the healing ability affect his aging too? Like, does he
Yes,
age slower?
he
So
does.
how old is Wolverine then?
He was born in the 1800s.
So
So,
he was born in the 1800s, but he looked like he's 30.
yeah.
So when he was old man Wolverine, how does he age? How would he die?
Well, you bring up a good question. Wolverine would die at a very, very old age. Over time, he just ages slow. So when we're like 92, he's like 300.
Yeah.
So, but he looks maybe 85, maybe seven. It depends. It really depends, because the factor, because like where he's at now, like, if we take it like let's say Hugh Jackman in the first movie, he looks late 20s or something, but he's really 150 years old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's kind of like that. Same with Sabretooth. He ages slow too. So both of them age very, very slow. You know,
Sabretooth, how come every time Sabretooth fought Wolverine, basically in any comic movie, he always kicked the shit out of him? Is that because Sabretooth is a superior fighter?
no, he's not the superior fighter. He's more savage than Wolverine in some ways, because he really takes the characteristics of the animal side of his powers. But skill wise, like, no, Wolverine's the more skilled one. You know, he's the one that's trained in all the different fight. Like Sabretooth has, but not like Wolverine. Like, Wolverine went to Japan, spent years training in martial arts and in China, developed a lot of martial art training and skills. Sabretooth didn't do that. His skills came from the military when he was there, working a government agency to a point. Wolverine has that plus more. Wolverine was always the number one on the team. That's why in the cartoon he says, "You always were." You remember what he always told him?
No, what do you say?
"You always were second best."
Oh,
And
that's
in
what
this
Wolverine
business,
says,
second best don't cut it. Yep.
dude. So Wolverine, I like that storyline where in the movies where Wolverine used to be like an old 1800s logger, and like
Mhm.
that's why he wears those flannels and stuff because he's just like that's who he actually was, back in the day. What do you think childhood for him was like?
Well, in the 1800s, he was living on the frontier stuff. So he's used to frontier life. That's what he did, He went from frontier life to advancing from frontier to the next step,
Yeah.
to the next step. That's kind of what he did. So, being from Canada, he's from Alberta,
Oh, is he
Calgary,
really?
Alberta.
Oh, is he
Yes.
really?
Yes, home of Bret Hart. Yeah.
So I wonder if he spent some time at the Hart House training with his
Was
schnickety
Stu.
schnickety schnoz.
He probably did, knowing Wolverine, he's lived a million lives, kind of like Highlander, where he's been in so many different places. But a lot of the time, government agency, military, operative stuff, that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's why he knew Black Widow when she was a kid and helped train her and as well as others.
What is the story with Highlander? Because I'm not that familiar. All I know
Oh
is that
yeah.
they're
I'm a huge
immortal.
Highlander fan.
They're immortal, and they can only die if they lose their head. Is that correct?
Okay, so this is how it works. First, the power has to be activated. Okay, so something that is fatal that would kill me and you has to happen to them first.
Okay.
Once that gets activated, that's when they become officially immortal. Like that, the power has to work. So that power has to be activated. If the power never gets activated, they pretty much stay kind of human. All right. So the power has to activate. And whatever age you're at when the power activates, that's the age you look for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So if you get your power activated at 75 years old, you are going to look 75 years old for the rest of your life. Okay. If you get it at 9 years old, you are going to be a 9-year-old for the rest of your life.
Does that happen in the movie? Like in this, there's kids that look like.
They showed a kid once. Yeah, he was. I forgot how old he was, but yeah, he was in this series, and he was like, yeah, he was a kid that was an immortal.
And did he know
So
how to fight? Did he know how to fight and everything?
I got to go back and look at it. I can't remember, to be honest. I just remember there was a kid once. I didn't pay too much. Rico was in the Highlander series as an immortal.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he did. He was in England and he taped for the show with Adrian Paul. Yeah. Yeah. So
Were the Highlander movies like a big hit, or were they not? Like, I know I'm familiar with them. Hey,
Mhm.
in Highlander 2,
yes,
isn't there an NWA wrestling match in that?
the first movie there was.
Oh, the first Highlander. There's the Freebirds.
The Freebirds were there.
Okay, I remember that because my friend showed
And I
that to
think
me.
it
And I was
was
like, what?
Iceman Parsons may have been there. They don't show the other team as much, but in clips you see more of the Freebirds.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first movie it did well enough. I don't think it was like a blockbuster hit, but it did well. It did okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, and you had Sean Connery, in it. He did his thing. The second movie, it was okay. So it's like they did the first Highlander like it was a complete movie, right? Then it became popular. Then they were like, we got to do another one. So then they made up a whole nother story to kind of undo some of the things of the first movie to make place for the second movie. But it's really chopped up. It's kind of all over the place. It's not that good. The third movie kind of tried to erase the second movie, but then at the same time, they tried to continue the story from the first movie and bring it back. Because part of the thing was if you win the prize of being immortal, you get a chance to live a normal life. And then you can have children and do all that good stuff. And so he gets a chance for a normal life. They said that Mario Van Peebles was the villain in the third movie, that he didn't get recognized as an immortal because he was frozen and somebody unthawed him. And when he came out unthawed and his guys came out unthawed, it started the quickening again, the lightning, and the lightning
Yeah.
struck Connor and turned him back into an immortal, you know, and that's when he knew he had to go stop another immortal, that there was another 3 that he had to deal with.
Okay.
The 4th movie, because they had the television series with Adrian Paul, Duncan MacLeod, which is the cousin of Connor MacLeod, which is Christopher Lambert's character, Connor, has a cousin, Duncan, who's super cool. It's kind of weird because they said it skips and, you know, they don't know anybody that was related with the immortal thing, but for some reason, probably because they wanted a MacLeod in the series, they said, hey, he's got a cousin named Duncan, you know, who's really cool. I've met Adrian Paul, too. He's a really nice guy. And the 4th movie, they took Connor and Duncan and put them together in the movie. But Connor's kind of, he kind of comes in and out. The movie comes up later. It really focuses in on Duncan, Adrian Paul. And, you know, it's kind of the final showdown to their characters of what happens. And then they did one more movie. What was it called? Oh, gosh, The Source. And Adrian Paul came back and did that one. And that was kind of a made for TV movie. It was kind of hokey, somewhat. But the other 3 were all in theaters, except for the other 4, except for the Source, which was the number 5. And then I think number 5 is supposed to be it for that. But now they're saying they've been taping a reboot with what's his name, Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill is supposed to be Connor MacLeod, from what I understand.
Johnny Utah asked if you could do an impersonation of the Kurgan.
Let me see. Let me see. There can be only one. Happy Halloween, ladies.
Freaking
something to say to everyone. It's better to burn out than to fade away. There you go.
Henry Cavill, like his nephew, I guess was in school, and he said, "Hey, my uncle's Superman," to the class, and the class is like, "What the hell are you talking? What are you talking about?" It's like, "No, for real, my uncle's Superman." And then he brought Henry Cavill to school the next day because nobody believed him. And he like,
crazy.
there's a photo of them holding hands walking to the school together. That's funny.
Awesome.
So Superman showed up to the school. Henry Cavill like gave some dating advice one time, and he was like, yeah, you know, if you like a girl or whatever, you just ask her out. Like, just go up to her and ask her out. It's always worked well for me. And I just think that's so funny because this is literally Superman. Like, this is like handsome guy. Henry Cavill is very fit, very classically, traditionally handsome guy. He's like, of course it works. You know, you got some schlub like me or whoever else get like, you know, it might not work 100% of the time there, buddy.
Those guys can't tell you. You know, it's like, okay, so my sister, she says stuff. My sister Jen is 5'11", athletic shape. She modeled. She was a cheerleader. She was a track runner. 4.0, Dean's List, whole 9 yards. Every guy wanted to date her. Doesn't age. I've been with her in the car. I've had people literally stop in the middle of LA trying to get her attention. Lowrider Magazine called the house trying to get her to model for the magazine. My sister is a very pretty lady, okay? And I remember she tried to give some advice to me and my brother, and it was so ridiculous. And I had to tell her, I said, listen, Jen, you could stand there and get a date.
Yeah.
And not say anything. I was like, that doesn't apply to the both of us, okay? Like, it's like, we're normal, average people, okay? You are not normal and average, you know? But yeah, she, the model agency wanted her in Paris at one time, a couple times actually. And she wanted to do it, and then I think she really wanted to focus in on school at the time. So then she ended up leaving the modeling thing, but she did it for a good minute. She really could have been huge.
Drew, I'm gonna take a bathroom break real quick. I'll be right back. Hold it down for us. I'll be
Yeah.
right back. Okay,
No
hold it down.
problem. You got it. All right, Johnny Utah. So, are you a Highlander fan? I wanted to know, man. I'm a huge Highlander fan. Loved Highlander since I was a very young kid. Followed it for a lot of years. I'm trying to see if I missed anybody's comments in here. So any Highlander fans, any RoboCop fans? Which Highlander movie did you like the best? Come on, guys, let me know. Let's see what we got. Okay. Okay, is that for Highlander or RoboCop or both? Johnny Utah. Let's see what we got. I have the book, but I haven't read it. Which book? Which book you got? So I'm taking it you're a fan of both. Well, are you excited about the new movie coming out? I haven't read the Highlander book yet. Okay, so I know that they're books and they were kind of loosely based on a couple of ideas. I didn't sit down and read them. I watched the films and then, of course, I saw the television series. Know a lot about the lore of Highlander because I was such a fan. I was part of the Highlander fan club too. Forgot to tell you about that. I had one of the dragon head katanas years ago. It's pretty cool. I wanted the Duncan special made one, and that was harder to get. Who knows? One day I'll probably get his and Connor's in the future, which would be kind of cool. Meeting Adrian Paul was really, really neat. He actually does sword fighting training around the globe. He was doing a whole thing. And he was going around doing fencing, kendo, broadsword training, and he has a whole program he does for people. It's really cool. You should definitely check it out. Christopher Lambert, he just passed out at a convention. They said he got too hot and passed out. They had to take him to the hospital. And after that, he did well, and he came back the next day to sign autographs. So, and apparently he's supposed to have a cameo, I think, in the new movie with Henry Cavill. And I think Dave Bautista is supposed to be the Carrion, if I heard right.
Dave Batista is probably one of the best actors that wrestling has ever produced. What do you think?
I have a story about him.
Well,
There is
do you think that like The Rock, him, Cena,
okay.
Hogan, like who's the best?
Batista is the best out of all of them because he actually managed to figure out how to make things work for him.
Yeah.
I actually know the guy that trained him for acting because he was part of the same when I was still in the industry. At the industry meetings, Joe Ochman is his name. He trained actors, and so he trained Dave Bautista for acting. He got him ready, and every time he gets, does his role, he meets with Joe and they train, and he gets them together, and he really helped him out. Specifically, he's the one that helped him get Guardians of the Galaxy, which kicked off his whole career. So there you go.
Dude, Guardians of the Galaxy was did you know that WWE like laughed at him about that movie? They were like you're going to go do this movie that of characters nobody's ever heard of instead of like showing up to SummerSlam or whatever. I don't know what pay-per-view they wanted for him at that time, but he like Batista took that incredibly personal that they were like, "Oh, you're laughing at me? You talking shit?" And then that movie ended up just being absolutely humongous.
Wow. Let's see. I like The Hunted. Is that the one where Christopher Lambert is hanging out with that clan in Japan, like that group in Japan where they had to protect him? He was like on a train. I vaguely remember something. And then he gets in a sword fight. There's something that happened. I got to go back and watch that movie. I try to remember the name of it. I hope it's The Hunted because I've been looking for that movie. I haven't seen it in years. Yeah, there's something about Christopher Lambert too. He can't see unless he wears these special glasses. That's why you see him in public wearing these glasses. He cannot actually see, and this existed when he was doing movies in the heyday. So he did Tarzan without really seeing what he was doing, and that means he was sword fighting without really being able to see clearly.
Wait a minute. So he was Raiden, right? In the first Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
He's blind?
He's technically he's not blind, but he has this condition where he can't see that great. And so he was kind of guessing in some of the stuff that he did.
Man. That Mortal Kombat Part 2 Annihilation, did you ever see that one? The
Unfortunately.
sequel? It was like they replaced Christopher Lambert with the guy who was in the Warriors, who got
Yeah, James
handcuffed.
Remar. He was the original Hicks in Aliens. Yeah, James Remar.
He was not a good choice for Raiden. It's terrible. And Christopher Lambert was good in the movie, but Raiden is Asian. Raiden's not white, right? I don't recall
Yeah.
that in the mythology, but anyway, they Shao Kahn was Brian Thompson or Brian.
Brian Thompson.
Yeah, Brian Thompson's from Bandon, Oregon, and he gave a speech at my theater class at my high school.
Cool.
Like, I wasn't there. I didn't get to meet him or anything. I wish I had known he was there because he scared the living daylights out of me with Cobra.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pretty hair.
It's the way of the world, pig. His whole character is just a psycho. They don't even really say why he's doing it. Like, what's his reasoning? And I guess he went up to Stallone on set one day for Cobra, and he's like, "Hey, could you give me a little more insight into my character, like why he's evil?" And Stallone was just like, "Hey, he's evil. That's just what it is. He's just a bad guy. He's bad." And he didn't want to get into the character with Brian or nothing. And Brian wasn't invited to the premiere party for the film.
Sure.
He doesn't know. Nobody knows. It's like a mystery. I don't understand certain Hollywood stuff. Maybe he pissed off Stallone by asking him about character development, but if my memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure Stallone wrote that script.
Yeah, I think he did.
If he didn't write
Cosmatos, yeah.
if he didn't write the original script, he sure as hell rewrote it.
The
So
thing about that situation, because I know specifically at that time with Stallone, he was really showing off, and really his arrogance was at a height. That's what I heard when he was doing Cobra. Like he was really trying to show off. So that's probably why, there's something he did, he didn't like, he was kind of difficult to work with, because of that. And I know like he got along with certain people, and then there's times like where it was kind of like a mixed bag, like with Arnold was cool with everybody, he was the cool dude, so there was no problem, with him. Dolph Lundgren was cool with everybody. Van Damme, it depended on the situation, probably because of cocaine. Chuck Norris loved everybody, humble guy. Brandon Lee loved everybody. My master Jeff Speakman. Did you ever see the movie The Perfect Weapon or heard of it?
I haven't seen it, but I've definitely heard about it.
That's one of my masters was Master Jeff Speakman when I was a kid.
Is he the star of that film?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna look up the trailer right now. Perfect Weapon?
Yeah. Perfect Weapon. Master Jeff Speakman.
Are you friendly with him to this day? Or is he alive?
I haven't talked to him in years. I haven't seen him since the 90s. I know he's out in Las Vegas. He has a studio, a dojo out in Vegas for Kempo.
Okay.
And he had a stage 4 cancer problem for a long time. And I've been meaning, I was trying to find out how to get a hold of him to see how he was doing and to share my journey with him, and the inspiration he had on me, with the time I got to train, with him at the Kempo studio back home in California.
He's like a white guy, brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The whole movie is on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Perfect Weapon, Gym Fight, Perfect Weapon.
Yeah. I love that movie. Of course I have it on DVD. You know, I had to get it. I've got a shirt too.
For The Perfect Weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a
You're,
shirt. I made a hat. I made a Kempo. Made a Kempo hat to go with it.
he looks like Patrick Duffy from
Mhm.
Step by Step. He looks like the dad in Step by Step.
Oh, my thing look like that. You might want to pull up a picture and like really look at him. He looks a little
I'm
different.
looking at him. I'm looking at him. I'm watching the trailer right now. He's even wearing the jacket that the dad would have worn on the job site.
He does work construction in that movie at the beginning. You do see
Oh,
that.
that's
That's why I'm
funny.
laughing. I was like, well, he was working construction at the beginning.
That's hilarious.
Did you see him move yet? Did you see him move yet? Watch him fight
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, I did.
Ooh,
He takes on like 6 or 7 guys, and he's
dude, he
very.
is fast as heck. That is no camera trick. He is fast.
Do you think so in real life he's like a legit fighter?
Yeah, he learned from Ed Parker, who was one of the greatest martial art practitioners we ever had. Ed Parker was
Okay.
the guy that trained Elvis Presley, actually.
Rufio is in this movie.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is in the movie.
Wait a minute. So was Elvis Presley like a legit martial artist, or was that just bullshit?
No, he trained. He trained. How good he was, I don't know, but I know he trained with Ed Parker and he trained with other people for a while, and he had a big interest in martial arts and he loved it.
Elvis Presley. I just watched a documentary on that guy.
Mhm.
Apparently, he had a thing for underage girls. Like he loved teenage girls, just like R. Kelly.
That's what they say.
I mean, it's
That's what,
documented.
I
It's doc.
mean, I just know of Priscilla being one. I didn't hear about anybody else in a lot. Um, honestly, she's probably the only one I really heard anything about because like I didn't hear much about any other girls with him because like it seemed like he was just like doing a bunch of other stuff, like reading Captain Marvel comic books and
Yeah,
eating peanut butter and what
banana
was it?
sandwiches.
Banana sandwiches, uh, uh, pecan pancakes, and it was a lot of stuff like that. Um, he just seemed like he was into other things because what I studied and learned about and understood was that the colonel kind of put her on the radar, you know,
Priscilla.
to get married to her and all that stuff like that.
I
Like,
think I think that her parents. I think that her
and that
parents found
too.
out. I think that her parents found out they were dating, and they're like, "Listen, you're gonna marry our daughter, or we're gonna press charges."
It just seemed like there was a lot of planning because like the colonel did a lot of moving and shaking in Elvis's life. Most of it. All the decisions that were made, a lot of it was the colonel. That's why when I saw the Austin Butler movie, one thing I really applauded it for was when he's singing If I Could Dream, the song he made for Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
The story about the way the movie showed it was exactly how it happened, pretty much, too. Was that it was supposed to be like a Christmas special, and they were supposed to like do like some songs like that. And Elvis was like, "Well, I got this song," and so he agreed to it. And when the cameras were rolling, then he went into "If I Could Dream." He sang the song without the Colonel, he just did it, and
Okay.
that's how that came out. And it was all about Martin Luther King, like how much respect he had for him and how sad he was about the situation. And so he wanted to do that just for him, and Elvis just went and did it.
Yeah. I mean, Elvis had. I'm not saying Elvis. Every human being is flawed. I'm not
Right.
saying he. I'm just saying, he as far as like race relations were concerned, Elvis was good. He was not racist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Elvis took a lot of shit though because he took rock and roll to the mainstream because he was white, and rock and roll was created by black people, African
Yeah.
Americans, like easily. Um, I think the best rock and roll musician like the pioneer of rock and roll was probably Little Richard to me anyway. I mean, he was amazing. Talk about a complicated individual. Like Little
Yeah.
Richard was Little Richard was he was gay, and then he became a Christian, and then he was claiming he was no longer gay, which is probably, you know what, this is controversial. I think that is a choice. So if he has those feelings or inclinations, it doesn't mean you have to act on them. So maybe he wasn't. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he just wasn't acting on that anymore. I don't know.
Little Richard was interesting. Another guy that you got to look up that people don't talk about enough is a guy named Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
I've heard of him.
He was also one of the originators of rock and roll, and he brought the scary rock and roll. So he would dress up like a voodoo guy. He made the song "I Put a Spell on You." You know, "I Put a Spell on You." That's him.
And now you're mine.
Yeah, and he would show up in coffin. He would show up in a coffin, and they would take him out. And he would play the piano, and he would have skeletons, and he would make flames come out of his hands. And yeah,
So he's like he was like Papa Shango.
yeah. If you look at I put a spell on you, and you see him perform it. One of his best performances was in the when the Arsenio Hall show was going. He brought him on, and he did his thing, and that was a good one. But he was one that I would really credit a lot too, that has kind of gotten lost between time, unfortunately. But Screamin' Jay Hawkins was fantastic. I mean, and such a sad ending, because he was like, well, at the time, he was like, they wouldn't allow me to perform like I wanted to in America. So I had to go. He's like, in France, they loved me and they let me play everywhere and do my thing. So he's like, I've been in France all these years. And that's where he ultimately ended up dying, eventually was in France.
Because he didn't have the same rights in America.
Right.
Muhammad Ali, when he won the Olympic gold medal, he came back to Kentucky, where he was from. Like, I think he was from Louisville. Muhammad Ali. He came back to Louisville, and like, I think he wanted to eat breakfast at a diner or something, and they wouldn't let him eat there because he was black. But he's the Olympic boxing world champion, gold medalist. And then he said he took that medal and just chucked it into the river because it didn't mean shit. It's like, I can't even eat in my hometown. What does this medal mean? So his medal, it's gone. Does not exist. It's at the bottom of the river in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's the thing about it. See, like, okay, I'm one of those rare people that could really give an insight to that, because, my dad was actually there, 1938.
For that time.
Yeah, Arkansas, 1938. So I could, a lot of people don't have a firsthand recollection of those stories. More or less have a parent at my age that said they were there, in Jim Crow and civil rights, and what my dad did share. He didn't talk a lot about it because he just wanted to forget a lot of that stuff. But he just said, yeah, it was a very trippy time. A lot happened. And he said that he just, in the current day and age that he was in, he was just like, I just look towards going forward, because so many bad things had happened, back then, and he was, he did the Civil Rights March, he was heavily involved, and did his thing with that. But yeah, he just said it was pretty crazy.
My mom said that when she was at her grade school, that they had separate fountains that's crazy, because I went to that same grade school, and it was not like that in the 80s, obviously in the 90s, but I just thought that was crazy to have that vision in my head that when my mom was like, I don't even when did the rights become official? What year was that?
Okay.
Civil rights.
60, I think it was 63.
Okay, I guess that
when Lyndon Johnson signed, I think it was in 63. and it took effect then. But here's the thing: certain places didn't exactly grab onto it fast, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of stretched on. So I would say, realistically, my opinion, from what I heard, the 70s, a certain part in the 70s is when things started to kind of switch over
Mm,
because there was a lot of resistance to it. There's a thing called the Green Book. I don't know if you know about this, but the
mm.
Green Books were basically books that were made to tell black people like where they could stay, where safe areas were as they traveled.
Okay.
So, like, those books were designed to help people out for traveling. And the reason I say that is because they still kind of had to use them for a minute, even though when that act was signed, because people were resistant to it. They weren't exactly accepting. You were getting them to accept something that was normal, and a lot of people were resistant to it, you know. And boy, I'll tell you this, and this I did not learn from my dad. This came from my uncle, because my dad, like I said, he wanted to forget a lot about it. But my uncle did say this, that there was because when my dad died, the family tree had come out, right? And there was a sister that I didn't recognize, right? I was like, is my dad's sister? Is that who's this sister? There's another sister, and then so oh, that's your aunt Dolly. She died. I said, well, what happened to her? He's all back years ago. She caught on fire from one of those old school stoves. Her dress got caught by something and it went on fire. So she caught on fire. And back then they didn't know how to stop, drop, and roll. So she was just running and the oxygen was just picking up and she got burned really bad. And so they took her to the hospital, but because they didn't allow black people in the hospital, she died on the hospital steps and she was like 12. And that was
Get
my
out
my
of
dad's.
get out of
That's
here.
what
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was my dad's aunt. Yeah, that's the story. So there was that. I know my mom, my Aunt Carolyn, my mom's sister, um, they were in the civil rights march, and when they were marching in Tennessee, and I forgot where else, but I think it was in Tennessee where it happened. There was a lady that my aunt was probably 10 at the time. A lady took a cigarette she was smoking, she put it out on my aunt's face, and my aunt ended up hitting the lady. And so they took her at 10 years old and then put her in jail with the rest of my mom and her family and stuff like that. So they spent time in jail from that. Yeah. So
For how long?
I'd have to ask. I'm not sure. I could find out though.
Um, I never,
Hmm.
I don't know. I just never understood racism because, like, it's not like anyone has a choice, like, in the ethnicity they are when they're born, first of all. So, and then second of all, there's no evidence that any race is better than any other race. It's all,
True.
it's all prejudice. It's all, I think it's drilled into people's heads, dude. Morgan Freeman had a quote where he was like,
Mhm.
they asked him, I don't know if you've heard this. They asked
Oh
Morgan
yeah.
Freeman,
Yeah.
they asked Morgan Freeman about racism, or they asked him what it was like to be a black man or something like that. And he said, I don't even want to be known as a black man. I just want to be known as a man. Like, I want to
Yep.
get to the point to where everybody is just a man or a woman. Like, they don't even have to
Yeah.
have labels like
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. I think that the ancestors, like 1400s, whatever, Columbus, 1500s, whenever they started to bring over people to use them as freaking slaves, if they're the ones who started that, they
Hmm.
literally are the ones who created the entire issue.
Yeah.
Um, and they also didn't give, I know in the 50s and 60s that there wasn't like equal access to like learning or like education or lots of stuff, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of, you know, my boundary, but I just think it's ridiculous, man. Like, I never understood it. It
Alex, you're not
confused.
speaking out of your boundary in any way. I don't ever want you to think that. Speak freely. And I'll say this. No, you are correct, and that's kind of what went down. You know, my dad grew up in those schools. You know, he grew up in, segregated schools, you know, from day one, the old
Yeah.
schoolhouse, and then he went to segregated high school. My mom has the yearbook of his high school, and you see everybody from the 50s and 40s and stuff like that. And that's kind of how it was. But, my people ask me about it, and I'm like, listen, I want to be known as a man. I don't want to be known by my color. You'll never hear me say to a color or anything like that. And you'll never hear me say it. I never will, never plan on doing it. I see myself as just a person. And that's it. I don't do the color thing. I'm not pro black. I'm pro human being,
Mhm.
pro people. Okay. I don't do the color thing. And I get a lot of flack for that. I get a whole lot of flack for that because people think I should be geared a certain way. Where people's ignorance is, everybody that's heard my voice knows I sound like Keanu Reeves in some way. Okay. And that's the thing. I grew up in a whole different environment. And from that environment, there was a like melting pot. Los Angeles, Long Beach, Orange County, especially in the 80s, you were in a melting pot. My buddy Marco at church, his mom's Japanese, his dad's Hispanic. I grew up with that. So, two cultures right there, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my neighbors, Hawaiian, okay? I grew up with that from the Philippines. My cousins are from the Philippines. My cousins were born in the Philippines, actually. Carlin and Jamie Lynn. Here they are. Those are
Mhm.
my cousins. So, and then I have cousins from their mom, my Aunt Kilsung. She's from Korea. My uncle got drafted for Vietnam. He ended up in Korea. He met her. They have 4 awesome kids that I grew up with. They're a little older than me, but they were kind of like, those super cool older cousins. So I grew up with a lot of Korean culture. I grew up with a lot of Samoan culture. Um, I'm cool with everybody. That's how I always, because that's kind of what California is. I didn't grow up in Compton. I didn't grow up in Watts. I didn't grow up in South Central. Have I been there? Yeah. Did I grow up in the ghetto or the hood? Absolutely not. I grew up in the suburbs.
Mhm.
you know, I grew up with everybody, and we all got along. Where there's some idiots, yes, because the high desert is filled with real neo Nazis, not people saying this is racist, that's racist, like real deal gang affiliated neo Nazi, white hate groups.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah. Yeah.
existed in the high desert. Like you would see them. And they dealt with drugs and they did things and stupid things and all that stuff like that. And they have their meetings on Friday nights in the Apple Valley Mountains past Kiowa Road
Mhm.
and Corwin. That's where they hang out. That's all we knew. We knew. The Grand Dragon lived in Fontana when I first moved out there of the clan. Okay. So, and this is in California. This is in the desert area. So when you get up in the desert area, the desert was more kind of the country area. It was away from LA. So people, okay, Drew, what's the distance? LA is 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours from there. Okay. So it's a whole different. There's the higher elevation of California, there's the lower. LA is the lower. So you get sunshine, you don't get snow, you don't get, the temperature stays warm. Okay.
Mhm.
High desert, you can get snow. It can get like 0 degrees out there. You can get 150 degrees temperature because it's the desert. So the desert snows, rains, it's hot. So it's different up there. So I was exposed to a lot of things. But from it, I understood that I just love people. I like people. Just in general. I was never big on the one race thing. I know a lot of black people are in a lot of ways. It's never been my way, and it never will be my way. I used to argue on purpose with the Hebrew Israelites and the Nation Islam guys because I thought it was hilarious. Why are they sitting out in the Victorville sun in 105 temperature wearing wool suits and bow ties selling bean pies? I do not know, but they did.
Yeah.
And they annoyed the heck out of me, because they looked at me like public enemy number one. And that's their business and their right if they want to. I don't take issue with anybody. If you don't like me for that, whatever. But so many people nowadays, Alex, are really caught up on this race thing. It's never ending. It goes in many different phases. It goes down and then it goes up and then it stays middle. And
Yeah.
I don't know where it is now, but there's so much going on. But I would just tell people, just be people, be good people, respect everyone the best you can, go forward, put God first, carry what this country was supposed to be built on, which is equality, and don't go about anything else. Keep it there, and you'll be fine. And yeah, there'll be challenges. There'll be people that'll put things on you. There'll be people that will make things difficult for sure. You know, it'll happen. And it's up to you to choose what you do with it. What I recommend is bring the issue with the person, never with the color. That's
Yeah.
what I always did. Bring the issue with the person, not with the color, you know? And that's the main thing we always have to remember, because there are good people in all groups of colors of people. There are bad people the same reverse way of that. Okay? So that's the main thing we all have to remember. But sometimes I see a lot of people that lose sight of that quickly, feed into stereotypes, stuff like that. Yes, stereotypes are there for a reason. Yes, there are people that are that stereotype. Okay.
Mhm.
We all know that, but it's just not everyone. And that's another thing that people have to understand and realize about the situation. Um, and if we can get past that, I think we'll be great. But the problem is race also makes a lot of money. Race also brings in all the news. Race also brings a lot of things on place. So it's something people keep going because it's profitable in some way. And that's really sad and silly. I think people could spend, time doing better things, but people get caught up on that, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
it's really kind of sad, like I think we could move so much more if we could just get those concepts down. We could be better in this country in so many ways. Because we kind of set the trend, you know. We set the trend in the world. Like what we do, what we glorify, what we put down, it kind of speaks to the world, you know, and then the world kind of follows that in some ways. So if that's the case, then we should put out better stuff, better things, you know? Because the reality is, as my brother said, when you go to war, they don't see this guy's Native American, this guy's this guy's that, this guy's. No, they go, that's an American, they're an enemy. It doesn't matter. You guys are all the same. So in war, if they can understand that, why can't we understand that back home in the States? Just saying.
First world problems, man. Everybody, like, seriously, you think shit's bad now? Start worrying about stupid crap like that. Like, you got a roof over your head, you've got water, you've got electricity, you got some toys in your room, you got some video games, comic books. You're
Yeah,
not doing too bad, dude. People like to look for problems where there isn't problems. Just like,
true.
it's always like, let's start some shit when we're not hungry or when
Yeah.
we're not dehydrated or whatever. It's like people's, I don't know, man. And I think hate is taught. I think hate is passed down. I
Oh,
think
for sure.
I think
For sure.
I think a lot of families and stuff, like grandpas and grandmas and moms and aunts and uncles, the way they speak or the way they act, like kids pick up on that and then they pass it down, dude. Just the way it is, unfortunately. That's why you have to teach your kids correctly.
Yeah, because kids aren't born with that. That's something that's taught. That's something somebody put inside their head,
Yep.
that idea. And then they decide if they go that route or not with it. If their parents push it in its normal life, then chances are they're probably going to be receptive to that. And that's kind of how that works. So it's kind of it's a sad thing, and on the flip side, then you have the negative thing of that is now you've got a lot of other groups that are angry at other things and causing issues there. So now it's just like a cluster of craziness
Yeah.
because everybody's angry, everybody's mad, everything's bitter. You can't do this, you can't say that, you can't be this, you can't do that, you can't. There's too many rules. There's just too many rules. I can't keep up with it. Every
Yeah.
day they change, and it's like, how can we move forward if I can't pronounce no or know what's going on because it's too complicated. And I'm
Mhm.
like, it's got to be less complicated. And people have to understand there are things that make sense and things that don't. And we got to stop with this thing of like the stuff that doesn't make sense, stop glorifying that. The things that do make sense, try to see the positive in that and learn from it and then move forward, to make the world better. So leave the junk behind. But people like the junk. People like the Jerry Springer show, right?
They used to, for sure.
That's what society's become. They love Jerry Springer's not going. He's passed away. His show's not there. But the world has become Jerry Springer, Alex. It's
Yeah,
become Jerry Springer.
I do know because we met each other on the Jerry Springer show almost.
Yes, we did.
We
Yes,
kind
we
of did, to be honest with
We
you.
did.
Yeah.
We were on the Jerry Springer show. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good example.
We met each other on the Jerry Springer show. Yeah, I think controversy, making people uncomfortable, picking on people, saying crazy shit, it gets viewers and comments and likes and stuff. But when you try to be positive or like come from a good place, you're gonna get less eyeballs on you. But it doesn't matter because that's not what it's about. You just gotta do your thing and you gotta be a good person and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because think about it. A lot of YouTube is built on like gossip, controversy. You see, a lot of it's built on that. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they can get. And so it's like, and people go, yeah, I do it because it gets the views, And it's like, I don't want to do it for the views. Like, that's not my way. Like, if you're
Mhm.
desperate, if you're built on a house, if you're like, here's a good example. Wendy Williams. She's the perfect example of that. That lady built her whole life on controversy,
Mhm.
right? That's all she did, And it's sad because that's all she's known for, and that's all she chooses to surround herself with, when things could be better. The View, all these shows, it's just like
The
you've got
View.
nothing but oh gosh.
It's
Don't even
incredible
start on
that show is still on, dude. I can't believe that
Yeah.
show's still on.
It's controversy, and I'm just like, okay, what about doing something more positive, more constructive than focusing in on this? Morgan Freeman, what you told me about him that we both know, he said that on The View. He was on The View and he brought that up.
Yeah.
And you know how much he got? Billy D. Williams was on the show and he brought that there too. And they tried to give him a little heat, but they kind of pulled back because the way he responded and the look he had on his face, he wasn't having it that day.
Yeah, I don't need to discuss this bullshit with you.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams was not, because I remember they asked him about what was it? When they did when they were talking to him about Star Wars, they were talking to him about gender fluidity or something like that. It was something like that. It was, help me out here. It was something like that. And he was like, he didn't know what it was. I mean, he's in his 80s. He had no idea what it was. He's like, wait a minute. Does it mean I get more ladies? Is that what that means? I get ladies? If it means I get ladies, then yeah, I'm gender fluid. If I get the ladies, yeah. But it meant something else. And he was like, when he found out what it was, he was like, what the heck is this? He was like, no. He's like, what are you guys trying to do here? He's like, no, I don't do that. Okay, let me make that known. I said, you can't say that. He said, no, I'll say what I want. He's like, no, I don't do that. Get that straight. He's like, I love the ladies. Keep it there. Okay. Like, don't try to play these word salad games on me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is. So, Kurt Russell spoke out about that. Harrison Ford spoke out about it. So that's kind of where we are. Stop with the nonsense. Let's focus on what really matters and let's be better people. I mean, it really gets down to that. That's what we did. We grew up with that idea and all the cartoons. This is a show where we do cartoons.
Yeah.
All the shows we watched had characters of all sorts of backgrounds that all work together, right?
They were all different. All different.
You had Brave
Diverse.
Star, right?
Yeah.
You know, you had Panthro and Thundercats. Everybody loved Panthro. We all knew Earl Hyman that played Bill Cosby's dad on the Cosby Show was the voice of Panthro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we have Malatna and He-Man, Clamp Champ.
Who was was Bill? No, I got this wrong. The king of cartoons on Pee-wee's Playhouse was Blackula, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because I get him confused with Bill Cosby's dad on the Cosby Show. It's not the
Oh
same
yeah,
guy.
Earl Hyman was that and the voice of Panthro, and then William Marshall was Blackula.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, William Marshall was cool.
Yeah, Pee-wee made him the king because he wanted to have a black king. He did that on purpose. He wanted to specifically do that. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, 100%. I watched Pee-wee's Paul Rubens documentary on, I think it's like HBO Max. It's like the last two, like it's like 2 1 hour or 2 1 whatever. It's his whole life, and it's really interesting. Like it even goes down to his last day on Earth. He's talking.
Wow.
It's sad. It's really sad, man. You should check it out. It's very
I'm gonna
interesting.
check that out because I watched Pee Wee's Playhouse. I had the figures. I had a lot of the
Yeah.
figures. I had Cowboy Curtis. You know,
Which-
Lawrence Fishburne with the Jerry curl coming down the back. The
Yeah,
LA curl leaning down.
Lawrence Fishburne was, when he got hired for Pee Wee's Playhouse, he's like, "What?" He's all, I'm a cowboy? What the hell are you talking about? What? Huh? He didn't understand it. He didn't understand the humor or anything. He just he took it because it was a job.
Hey, Pee Wee. Hey,
Yeah.
Pee Wee. That's all right, Pee Wee. I don't
Hey,
know, Pee Wee.
Hey, Pee Wee. Hey, Pee Wee. Yeah, he was good.
Lawrence Fishburne stuff.
Well, dude, I'm actually falling asleep, man, and Nicole wants me to go to bed.
Can I promote something?
Yeah.
Judge Joe Brown barbecue sauce. My good friend Judge Joe Brown, I've known him personally for many years now. I made sure I got a case from him when he released this. I always try to promote Judge Joe Brown barbecue sauce. Go get some.
Delicious.
Oh yeah, that's my dude. He's a guy that is so cool, so cool. Judge Joe Brown is down to earth, real cool guy.
Well, Drew, I appreciate you, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Thanks for distracting me for the last 3 hours, dude.
Of course. Of course. I owe you for all my tired nights of falling asleep, but
It's a role reversal.
Normally.
Role
There you
reversal
go.
tonight.
We're reversing. Wait, let me check out that hat. Hold on a second. Let me see that hat.
What hat?
The hat you're wearing.
It's an Oakland A's hat.
Did I see turtles on the side?
No. World champ.
Okay, I thought it was turtles. I thought I had the turtles because of the color. I was like,
Yeah.
did they do the turtle hat on the side?
No, I wish.
Because they did these Bruce Lee ones for not the Giants. What's the baseball team in Northern Cal?
The Oakland A's. They used to be. They're gone now.
Okay, because I remember.
And the Giants too. San Francisco Giants.
Okay, I think it was the Giants. They had the Giants hats, but they had Bruce Lee stuff on it.
Okay.
Because in the Bay Area, Bruce came to the Bay Area, so they did that. And I thought they did that with your hat with the turtles because of the color first.
I wish. I would have got it. This hat's
That'd be
gotten
pretty
pretty. This hat's gotten pretty beat up, man. I've worn it quite a bit. It's got the sweat stains. I definitely need to clean it.
Got to get the cleaning out. I always get the cleaning out and clean the hat.
All right, man. I appreciate everything. I'm out of here.
All right, buddy. Be good.
Right.
Appreciate you guys.
Maybe we'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let me know.
Later, brother.
Later.